Chapter 2858. Flame Coffin, Burning Heaven and Earth. Power of the Universe. At this moment, Lin Ling also felt the pressure above his head. He clenched his teeth and looked at the realgar through the cloak. His gaze became even more resolute. In his mind, Lord Pu, Lord Xueqi, his old friends, their faces floated in Lin Ling's mind. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. If he didn't even know who the murderer was, Lin Ling wouldn't have the face to return to his hometown. Great rhinoceros soaring heavenly country. Another elder moved his hands and a terrifying ancient beast appeared on his forehead. It had sharp fangs. It looked like a rhinoceros and a wild boar at the same time. That was his true god spirit, and the most terrifying thing about it was that it had a rare innate ability to transform into a beast. When the beast appeared, it turned into a true form and said, "Even if you're a puppet, I'll still kill you." The beast's horn shone coldly as it charged toward Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling was facing two martial immortal realm experts at the same time. Seeing this, everyone sneered. They wanted to kill the cloaked man who was courting death. Now they could see whether the cloaked man was a human or a puppet. At this moment, Lin Ling only had two choices. 1. Retreat. 2. Fight. Of course, since Lin Ling dared to come here, he had already thrown caution to the wind and chose to fight. Bang! The huge ancient sword was smashed to the ground by Lin Ling. He stretched out his hand and roaring flames began to gather. Moreover, it turned into the shape of a coffin. He was preparing the flame coffin. However, above his head, the huge claw grabbed Lin Ling's head. "I want to see whether you're a puppet or a human." A cold voice sounded at the same time. However, in the next moment, the elder exclaimed, "It's a human! What a powerful soul power!" His martial arts were related to soul power. He could search souls. When his palm landed on a world, he could know all the memories and thoughts of all the people in that world. However, he found that the cloaked man's soul power was beyond imagination. He couldn't search his soul at all. Bang! At the same time, the terrifying rhinoceros crashed into the cloaked man's body, pushing him forward. The ground continued to crack, and everywhere it passed, rocks the size of small mountains were directly shattered. How terrifying! This collision can easily destroy the 10 realms. That fella is only made of flesh and blood. How could he block it? Looking at the rhinoceros behemoth that was like a siege chariot, everyone was shocked. Moreover, the rhinoceros beast had already knocked the cloaked man further and further away, disappearing into the distance. Serves him right. I'm afraid that fellow's corpse is already gone. Then, voices of schadenfreude could be heard. At this moment, within the endless Xuanwu ancient rock, a figure continued to fly backwards. In front of him was a gigantic beast that was over 100 meters tall. Rumble! Deafening noises kept ringing out. Finally, the giant beast stopped in its tracks. Damn it! That giant beast also spoke human language. He's dead. In the sky, the elder was still holding the cloaked man's head. 2 elders were suppressing the cloaked man. If the people from the other sex were here, let alone resisting, they would be terrified just by looking at them. Flaming coffin. However, at this moment, a cold voice rang out. The cloaked man raised his head. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were filled with madness. It was a madness that went all out. Moreover, he smiled. His smile was bloodthirsty. His left hand reached out from the cloak, and then, a small flaming coffin appeared. However, the moment it appeared, the Xuanwu ancient rock began to burn without any fire. Moreover, the flaming coffin began to grow bigger. What? The 2 elders' eyes trembled violently. Impossible. No matter how strong a martial artist is, his physical body is his weakness. After being attacked by the 2 of us, his physical body should have been destroyed. Could it be that this is really a tough puppet? He's a human. Previously, I checked that he has a soul and memories. Moreover, the biggest impression that the memories gave me was that a debt of blood must be paid with blood. The 2 elders spoke out and looked at the cloaked man in fear. They began to retreat. However, it was too late to retreat now. The flaming coffin descended, and the flame god's heart was beating. Lin Ling, at his peak, had activated the first seal of the true god martial soul. Without a doubt, the flaming coffin had reached an unprecedented height. The flaming coffin, burning the heavens and earth. Rumble! The terrifying flames finally erupted. The entire area around the black tortoise ancient rock began to tumble in the air like straw. And this was only formed by the shockwave before the flame coffin exploded. After the explosion, the black tortoise ancient flame instantly turned into a sea of fire. The ancient rocks with endless history began to melt like water. What's happening? What a powerful flame energy! In the distance, the expressions of Xueqi and the others changed drastically because there was already a blazing fire in the distance. Moreover, a huge flaming coffin was fluttering in the sky, and this caused them to be worried about the two elders. That's... Xueqi stared at the flaming coffin. He suddenly felt that it was very familiar. However, he suddenly could not remember where he had seen it before. The heavens and earth seemed to have quieted down. Pa! Amidst the billowing flames, a cold voice came walking over. A black cloak was dragging a huge ancient sword behind him, as if he was a war god from ancient times. The god of war was invincible and would never admit defeat. Boom! At this moment, everyone's hearts were pounding. He's not dead. Who is this person? He blocked the attacks of two elders consecutively. He's still alive and even killed the elders. Is he still human? What a terrifying physical strength. They saw multicolored flames behind the cloaked man, and they saw a huge mouth, as if it wanted to swallow the heavens and devour the earth, which made them feel extremely terrified. And these were two kinds of fifth-grade talents. Furthermore, the cloaked man's pace was not fast. However, every step he took was earth-shattering. It was as if his souls were the myriad of worlds. He crushed the myriad of worlds. Plop! The weaker disciples were directly shocked by the earth-shattering power and fell to the ground. Your Excellency, is there any misunderstanding between us? Xueqi said solemnly and respectfully. They are disciples of the 100 Gates. Do you have a grudge against them? In fact, it's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. If you have a grudge, I'm willing to be a peacemaker and resolve it. He thought that Lin Ling was here for the elites of the 100 Gates. I'm sorry. They have no grudge against me. You have a grudge against me. In front of them, the cloaked man was still walking forward. However, his left hand landed on the cloak and gently lifted it, revealing a cold face. Lin Ling. Xueqi was shocked when he saw this. The elites of the 100 Gates around them were also stunned. Their hearts were pounding. Was this still the Qingzhou genius Lin Ling that they looked down on? They thought that the Qingzhou was weaker than the Crimson Prefecture. They thought that Lin Ling was a stage 8 true god and that his strength was limited. But now they knew that they were wrong. A stage 8 true god defeated 2 martial immortals and returned victorious. Chapter 2859. The Sect Master of the Great Jade Pure Hall. Plop! At that moment, even more elite geniuses fell to the ground in fright. Some of them even smiled bitterly. Were they still elite geniuses in front of Lin Ling? They should just obediently remove the word genius. It's you! Xueqi did not expect Lin Ling to be so strong. Although he knew that Lin Ling was famous in Qingzhou and was not weak, he believed that Lin Ling was still inferior to him. After all, he had grown up in Five Ring City. However, he did not dare to look directly at Lin Ling now. Looking at the elite geniuses from the 100 Gates around him, he shook his head. He did not think that these people could protect him. Lin Ling had hidden his strength very well. When the elite geniuses from the 100 Gates provoked him at the beginning, Lin Ling remained silent and did not resist. This made them think that he was only a... However, after Lin Ling attacked, he immediately knew that he had been tricked. If he had known earlier, he would have left the sect master beside Xueqi instead of an elder. Swoosh! Without saying anything, Xueqi fled in the other direction. Stop him! At the same time he roared. Hearing that, everyone stood there in shock. Not long ago at the 100 Gates conference, Xueqi had said that if he saw Lin Ling, he would give him some pointers and let Lin Ling know that there was always someone better than him. However, now that Xueqi had seen Lin Ling again, he could only flee. Lin Ling, this is Crimson Prefecture. Under Realger's loud roar, someone finally walked out. So what if it's Crimson Prefecture? How dare a bunch of trash like you stop me? Seeing that Xueqi was fleeing, how could Lin Ling let him do as he wished? He pounced forward like a god of war. Get lost! He brandished his large sword and the elite geniuses who were blocking his way were killed with one slash. It was an all-encompassing attack. No one could stop him. The word trash echoed in the ears of the elite geniuses from the 100 Gates. It made them smile bitterly as they realized that they were indeed trash. Even with so many people, they couldn't stop Lin Ling alone. If they weren't trash, then what were they? So what if you're from the Crimson State? In my eyes, you're just a bunch of weaklings. Lin Ling's great sword was extremely tyrannical. As he brandished it, even the disciples couldn't stop him. They could only watch as Lin Ling arrogantly killed the Realgar. As for them, they couldn't do anything. Not long ago, they had boasted that they would protect Realgar. But now, they couldn't even protect themselves. If Lin Ling's target wasn't Realgar, they would have knelt down and begged Lin Ling for mercy. This bastard! At this moment, Lin Ling was chasing after Realgar. That fellow was really despicable and shameless. Previously, they had agreed that if he, Lin Ling, found Realgar, then Realgar would tell him everything. But now, that fellow only knew how to run away. But soon, Lin Ling realized that Realgar had stopped in his tracks. It seemed that he was going to give up. When Lin Ling arrived, he realized that Realgar was standing quietly under two gigantic mountains. Beside him was a tall and sturdy old man. Lin Ling, do you want to know who the murderer is? You won't have the chance in this lifetime. Realgar seemed to have gained a lot of confidence as he sneered. Stray dog, you have nowhere to run. Sigh. Glancing at Realgar indifferently, Lin Ling said disdainfully. His words of indifference caused Realgar's face to turn gloomy. He didn't expect that he, a god empress, would end up like this. He was chased down 9 streets and didn't even dare to face Lin Ling one-on-one. Sir, you must protect Realgar. Sigh. Lin Ling ignored Realgar and looked at the old man. You are Lin Ling. Sigh. The old man stood there quietly like a tall mountain. His face was very strange. The left side of his face was white while the right side was black. Coupled with his dignified appearance, it gave people the feeling that they didn't dare to look at him directly. That's the sect master of the Great Jade Pure Hole. Sigh. At this moment, the elite geniuses of the 100 Sects Conference all rushed over with grave expressions. The Great Jade Pure Hall was extremely famous 30,000 years ago. It had once given birth to an expert whose name shook the Crimson region. Relying on the black and white energy, he defeated many experts. Later on, because he provoked some experts from the 9 provinces, he was finally defeated by a mysterious person. That expert then disappeared without a trace. No one knew if he was dead or not. Since then, the Great Jade Pure Hall had fallen from a 6th grade Orthodox martial arts sect to a 4th grade sect. But it was undeniable that although the Great Jade Pure Hall had declined, its foundation was very deep. Senior, kill him. I will recommend you to the Empress Dowager. Realgar looked at the old man and said, You are really a piece of trash. As a genius of the Azure provinces, you could only rely on the help of others when you met him. But he killed you 9 times over. Do you think you are qualified to mock others? The old man reprimanded, causing Realgar's eyes to narrow. Was the other party mocking him? From this, it could be seen that the sect master's temper wasn't very smooth. No wonder the Great Jade Pure Hall was declining. However, I will protect your life. The old man said again and looked at Lin Ling, Azure Province's Lin Ling, the most monstrous genius in the history of the Resplendent Academy. Hearing about you is not as good as meeting you in person. You have cultivated for less than 2,000 years, but you have become the king of the first generation. You are indeed powerful. What was surprising was that he was very familiar with Lin Ling. I will spare your life on account of your difficult cultivation. Now, leave. The Crimson region is not a place you can come to. Senior, the Crimson region is indeed not my hometown. But if your family, friends and sect were to be destroyed, what would you do? I would fight with my sword. That's right. That is why I am here. You are really a stubborn junior. For revenge, you came from the Azure provinces to the Crimson region. You are like a fierce dragon crossing the river. The two looked at each other and exchanged a few words. Lin Ling could see that the old man might not be a good person, but he had a magnanimous temperament. However, everyone has their own goals. I will not let you kill Realgar. If you are really stubborn, you will only end up dead. The old man's expression was cold, but there was a hint of doting in his eyes when he looked at Lin Ling. In the Great Jade Pure Hall, there were countless geniuses, but no one was more powerful than Lin Ling. Therefore, when he saw Lin Ling, He felt a sense of appreciation for his talent. Of course, he also knew that it was impossible for a genius like Lin Ling to join their great Jade Pure Hall. We have never fought before. Everything is unknown. Lin Ling also raised his sword. His eyes were extremely firm. He has a tenacious temperament. He is a good seedling. The old man nodded. He knew that Lin Ling would not give up until all hope was gone. This battle was unavoidable. An oppressive atmosphere quietly pervaded the air. This fellow swept away the elite geniuses of the 100 clans and defeated the sect's elders. Now, he even dares to go against the sect master. Although the great Jade Pure Hall is no longer glorious, it used to be famous in the Crimson region. This Lin Ling is simply courting death. Although he is courting death, it is undeniable that there are no more than 20 elite geniuses who can suppress him in the 100 Clans Conference. Chapter 2860. The Sect Leader. Xueqi, before I win, you are not allowed to run away. If I lose, your life will be in Lin Ling's hands. The old man's body began to emit a rolling aura, causing the surrounding black tortoise ancient rocks to crack. Then they began to fall. Okay. Xueqi immediately replied. The reason why he agreed so quickly was because he knew that Lin Ling could not win. Because Lin Ling was not qualified to fight against a sect leader. If it was in the Green region, Lin Ling would be fighting against the giants of the Green region. Lin Ling, go to hell. The old man attacked. His aura surged, and he did not hold back at all. Even though he thought highly of Lin Ling, there were some things in the world that one had no choice in. Third level of the martial immortal realm. Seeing the old man attack, Lin Ling's face turned serious. He did not know what cultivation technique the old man cultivated, but there was black and white energy swirling around his body. It was extremely mysterious. The old man's talent was a 5th grade divine body, but his cultivation level was higher than Lin Ling's by a few levels. Moreover, his ultimate martial path must have reached the point of perfection. This was a strong opponent. Fortunately, Lin Ling had already erupted with his full strength. His 3 dantians merged together, and the evil flame change was also activated to the extreme. Therefore, it would not be easy for the old man to kill him. Bang bang bang. Activating the Ashura sword formation again, 10,000 swords shot towards the old man. Clear flow. The old man suddenly let out a low roar, and a fog-like white gas appeared on the surface of his body, causing his figure to become ethereal. The sea of swords shot over, and crackling sounds rang out non-stop, but the old man directly charged through the sea of swords. Your swords, don't even think of touching me. The old man laughed coldly. He stretched out his hand, and his 5 fingers turned into a clear flow of white as he viciously grabbed. Seeing this, Lin Ling's face changed slightly. He activated the 7 realm speed and turned into a ray of light, disappearing from where he was standing. The ground where he was standing before cracked open, and 5 huge ravines appeared. They were so deep that one could not see the end of them. However, just as Lin Ling dodged the killing move, he immediately felt a sense of danger. He did not stop, and his body disappeared from where he was standing again. Just as he disappeared, the old man appeared. His hand grabbed, and white energy rolled like the water of the heavenly river, rumbled. However, this attack was avoided by Lin Ling's speed. Moreover, Lin Ling sensed that this old man's speed of the 10 realms speed. His speed far exceeded Lin Ling's. Lin Ling could not avoid the other party's pursuit at all. All he could do was to continue to break the olds too. As expected of Lin Ling. He is obviously at the 8th stage of True God realm, but his world essence is surging. That is the strength of the martial immortal realm. The old man's attack failed, and he let out a sigh of admiration. This made everyone nod secretly. No wonder Lin Ling could sweep away thousands of troops. He indeed had a mysterious trump card. What a pity. What's the use of it? The old man attacked again. His figure was ethereal, as if he was teleporting between 10,000 realms. A white sword also appeared in his hand. It was formed by the mysterious white energy, and at this moment, it pierced towards Lin Ling. The sword was very fast, exceeding the speed of the 10 realms speed. Generally speaking, when a martial artist used martial arts, most of them would be faster than their movement techniques. And this speed was difficult for Lin Ling to dodge. However, at the crucial moment, his left eye bloomed with a demonic light. At the crucial moment when the sword pierced towards him, at the crucial moment, His body was like a spring, and he quickly leaned back, allowing the cold sword to shoot past his cheek, avoiding that terrifying sword. If he had chosen to retreat, he would have died without a doubt. Because his speed was faster than the sword, he did not choose to retreat. Instead, he avoided that sword on the spot. This was like pulling a tooth from the tiger's mouth. It seemed dangerous, but it was the only way to break the sword. Amazing, you actually saw through this old man's sword. Facing this old man's sword, no true God realm expert can escape or receive it. You are the first person to survive this sword in this old man's hand. The old man maintained his sword posture, and at this moment, he could not help but praise. So amazing! The spectators in the distance also exclaimed, because they thought that Lin Ling would be killed by this sword, but in the end, Lin Ling avoided it. Moreover, this was in the hands of an expert with a profound martial arts foundation. To avoid that killing intent, it was impossible for them not to admire him. Crossing Life Pearl Sun Finger. However, the old man was indeed a master of martial arts. He was also very experienced in battle. After his right sword pierced through the air, he took advantage of the time when Lin Ling's upper body leaned back to form a sword and pierced out with his left finger. In his finger, wisps of white light curled around, looking very sharp. Moreover, those wisps of light became denser and denser. At the crucial moment, Lin Ling's upper body bounced back like a spring. What was surprising was that he did not choose to use martial arts to defend himself, nor did he choose to avoid it. Instead, he used his chest to collide with that sharp finger. Puchi! Then, a dull sound was heard. Lin Ling's chest was pierced through, and blood immediately gushed out. He's dead. He lost in 2 moves. Seeing this, many people clenched their fists. Clashing with the sect leader, a genius of the younger generation was indeed too weak. Sword, come, sweep away 1,000 troops. However, at this moment, Lin Ling coldly spat out a sentence. A huge ancient sword had appeared in his right hand at some point in time, and then he swept it out. When he had just dodged the old man's sword, Lin Ling had already begun to summon the tyrannical Song sword. Therefore, at this moment, he naturally counterattacked. The old man's expression changed slightly, and he disappeared on the spot at the speed of 10 worlds. However, he was still a little too slow. A strand of white beard floated down from the sky. A strand of his beard had been cut off. Didn't you say that my sword can't touch you? At the same time, Lin Ling's cold voice also sounded. All of this seemed slow, but in reality, it all happened in the blink of an eye. When people came to their senses, they looked at the white beard on the ground and were all shocked. One had to know that the old man was a famous figure in Crimson Province for thousands of years. He had taught countless geniuses, but now, a junior had cut off the old man's beard. What's going on? Senior Gao must have been careless. That must be it. I clearly saw that Lin Ling was hit, so he must have resisted with all his might before he died. Senior Gao must have thought that Lin Ling was definitely going to die, so he was careless. The geniuses and elites of Crimson Province analyzed. A bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. Shut up. However, at this moment, the old man shouted angrily, causing everyone to open their mouths wide. The old man seemed to be scolding them. My previous finger attack was condensed with my White Sun water flow, which can kill a second-level martial immortal expert. The only flaw of this finger attack is that it needs to be charged up. The longer it is charged up, the stronger it becomes. Lin Ling discovered the characteristics of my martial arts, so he took the initiative to move forward and blocked the sword with his chest before the finger attack was completed, neutralizing my finger attack. Chapter 2861. Little Kunlun Attack. No way, Lin Ling's eyes are so sharp. He's too lucky. Lucky. Hearing that, everyone exclaimed. They could also sense that the old man's words were full of praise. This made them somewhat jealous because as geniuses, they couldn't even enter the eyes of the sect leader. Lucky? Do you have a pair of dog eyes? If life and death were close, would you choose to retreat, resist, or take the initiative? The old man coldly shouted again. Everyone instantly fell silent. If they were faced with that finger, they would definitely resist with all their might. At the very least, they would look for an opportunity to dodge. As for taking the initiative, they didn't even think about it because that would be a suicidal move. You're a disgrace to the Crimson Province. Seeing that everyone was silent, The old man reprimanded again, causing everyone to grit their teeth, feeling very humiliated. The old man also looked at Lin Ling. You're really amazing. Not only do you have reaction time, even your experience and knowledge surpass your peers. If you weren't so young, I would even think that you're an old monster who has cultivated for millions of years. Even though my finger pierced through your chest, it was only a superficial wound, right? The old man's voice was solemn. After all, Lin Ling had broken through the moves of a third-level martial immortal realm martial master. He couldn't help but be shocked. That's right. At this moment, Lin Ling also nodded. The sect leader of the Great Jade Pure Hall was indeed very powerful. He, Lin Ling, had also used all his strength to block it. You're indeed a rare martial arts genius. Unfortunately, my Great Jade Pure Hall is not fortunate enough to recruit you. I'm actually envious of the Green Province. The old man sighed softly and swept his gaze over the disciples of the various sects, his eyes filled with disdain. These geniuses wanted to compete with Lin Ling? They were simply a bunch of toads. Everyone also noticed the old man's gaze. They were all furious, but there was nothing they could do. Again. The old man attacked again. His sword was like a clear stream, like a high mountain and flowing water. Ultimate martial path, the pinnacle of the Dao domain. Looking at this simple and unadorned sword strike, Lin Ling secretly cried out in alarm. When the other party attacked, the power of the universe was extremely terrifying. He simply couldn't meet force with force. He could only constantly search for the flaws in the other party's moves and break them. Lin Ling gathered all of his world essence and stared at the sword with his 10,000 elephant devil eyes. He also made his move. Amazing! 10 points of strength, 8 points of strength, and 2 points of strength reserved. After the first attack failed, it was a perfect retreat. After exchanging a few more blows, the old man exclaimed in admiration. The clash between the two of them was a clash of martial arts. It seemed simple, but when applied to Lin Ling, everything was so smooth and perfect. Others might be able to do this, but they only had the form and not the soul. Lin Ling is so powerful. Xiong Huang stared fixedly at the battle between the two. He knew that the sect leader would not go easy on Lin Ling, which was why he knew how terrifying Lin Ling was. To be praised by a senior from the Crimson Province, this was the first time in the Green Province. Unfortunately, this honor did not belong to him. Flame Coffin. After a few clashes, Lin Ling also realized that his world essence was greatly depleted, so he used a killer move. Dark Spirit Saint Force. Seeing this, the old man's expression turned serious. He sensed that the huge flame coffin could kill a first-level martial immortal. Therefore, he also erupted with his strength. Black air currents appeared, as if they could destroy everything, and surged. The old man's face turned black and white, and his aura became even more domineering. His hands were mixed with black and white energy, and he madly grabbed out. Rumble! When the flame coffin exploded, he actually tore the flame coffin apart. However, he clearly did not gain any advantage. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was slightly injured. This old man. Seeing this, Lin Ling's eyes flickered. It was the first time he saw someone so domineering, holding the flame coffin. This also meant that even though Lin Ling was strong in all major areas, he still could not defeat an expert whose realm was much higher than his. Injured, the sect leader is injured. Of course, compared to Lin Ling's helplessness, the people were so shocked that they could not close their mouths. One was the sect leader of an ancient sect, a martial immortal, and the other was a genius from the Green Province. However, the rising star injured the senior. How could this not shock the people? At least, if it were them, they would be defeated in one move. The first seal of the true God martial spirit. Powerful, powerful. Your physical body is very strong, with a power of 500,000 universes, comparable to the power of 50 worlds. No wonder your endurance and explosive power are so strong. Also, you have 2 talents. Your physical body's defense is very strong, and it can absorb a large amount of the opponent's attacks, reducing the side effects. Your fire talent is focused on offense, very domineering. Most importantly, you have soul power, and you seem to be able to detect the flaws in my every move. Of course, no matter how powerful your martial arts experience is, it is all based on your realm. However, your realm essence is very strong, and this is the reason why you have not been defeated until now. The old man spat out another mouthful of blood, and said word by word. His heart was also rumbling. It was the first time he had seen such a terrifying little monster. If Lin Ling was also a martial immortal, or even a stage 1 martial immortal, he knew that he would not be a match for Lin Ling. When fighting with an enemy, if you show mercy, it is an insult to you. Now, it is my turn to attack. My black and white forces are the peak of the ultimate martial Dao domain. Half a step into the peak of the ultimate martial Dao, the complete Dao. You have to be careful. The old man attacked again. It was obvious that he respected Lin Ling a lot, so he attacked with his full strength. That was because Lin Ling was the most demon-level true god junior he had ever met in his life. He even felt that it was his good fortune to be able to fight against Lin Ling. The black and white forces, the white forces are like water, increasing your speed and defense. The black forces are like torrential rivers, incomparably ferocious. One yin and one yang, one hard and one soft. Your ultimate martial Dao can defeat many geniuses with great talent. Lin Ling also shouted coldly. On the path of the martial Dao, talent did not represent everything. Powerful martial artists could also kill those with outstanding talent. What they relied on was their profound martial arts experience. My evaluation of you has increased again. You are the first junior to know the characteristics of my ultimate martial Dao. What's the use of a pity? You will still die. The old man's voice was very cold. At that moment, Lin Ling's eyes were flickering. He was already planning to activate the space-time divine steel. However, at that moment, the vine wrapped around his left arm seemed to have awakened. It grew rapidly, and viciously lashed out at the old man. The whip contained the profound universal Dao. Although it seemed simple, it contained the sun, moon, and stars, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Pa! Chapter 2862. Circling. This. The old man was shocked. The crowd was also dumbfounded because they realized that the black and white soul seemed to be a true god martial soul. Could it be that the vine had extracted the old man's true god martial soul? Even Lin Ling was shocked because the vine was mini Kunlun. However, Lin Ling was no fool. He gripped the tyrannical song in his hand tightly and slashed out a dozen times. Boom, boom, boom. The old man anxiously clashed with the huge ancient sword and was smashed into the ground, causing the ground to crack continuously. The sudden change caused the surroundings to become deathly silent because no one expected that the sect leader would be suppressed again when he fought Lin Ling. Boom. However, not long after, the old man rushed out again. His face was ferocious and cold. What is that? With Lin Ling's cultivation level, although those swords were powerful, they obviously couldn't hurt him. However, after the vine whipped him, he realized that his strength had decreased by 30%, or even 40%. That was why Lin Ling's sword could injure him. The reason was that the vine had extracted his innate talent. If a cultivator didn't have talent, their battle prowess would definitely be greatly reduced. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that the old man was skilled in martial arts and didn't have talent, those swords would have taken his life. Ho ho, it's a part of my strength. Hearing that, Lin Ling calmly replied. This thing is too terrifying. It can extract a person's talent. The old man frowned as if he couldn't believe it. He attacked Lin Ling again. Pah! However, when it got close to Lin Ling, the vine whipped out again. This time, it had extracted the old man's talent again, causing his strength to decrease greatly in a short period of time. Azura sword formation. Seizing the opportunity, Lin Ling activated the sword formation, forming a spirit formation that surged toward the old man. Rumble. This time, the old man suffered a great loss again. He was continuously slashed by the tens of thousands of swords. Moreover, he started to roar. He was too aggrieved in this battle. Firmament change. Lin Ling ignored him. He pushed the evil flame transformation to its limits. With the flaming coffin in his left hand and the ancient sword in his right, he launched his strongest attack. Around him, the small Kunlun grew larger and larger. It took root in the ground, and its vines shot into the sky. It launched a powerful attack at the old man. With every whip, the old man's innate talent was unleashed. Although he did not receive any fatal injuries, it did affect his battle prowess. By the time he reacted, Lin Ling's various powerful ultimate techniques had already arrived, making it difficult for him to defend himself. Space-time divine steel. Lin Ling knew that this was his weakest moment, So he used his strongest trump card. Rumble. In the sky, a huge stone tablet came crashing down, as if it was going to break the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. The disciples of the various sects were like cicadas in winter. They never thought that Lin Ling's attacks would be so strong. Like a storm, not only did it injure the old man, it even suppressed him to the point where he vomited blood again and again. And this is the Azure Province's genius Lin Ling that we look down on. Someone muttered to himself. Suppressing a sect leader, this was something that they did not even dare to think about. Rumble. However, the old man was worthy of being a powerful martial immortal. His tenacious fighting spirit and strength surpassed Lin Ling's imagination. He raised his hands to the sky, and the black and white energies appeared in his palms as if they were omnipotent. They actually lifted up the space-time divine steel. Seeing this, Lin Ling could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Martial immortal realm, martial immortal realm. It was indeed very terrifying. His black and white energies are too heaven-defying. Boom! Lin Ling even saw that the old man's innate talent was being continuously extracted. However, the black and white energies were continuously providing spiritual energy, preventing the old man from falling down. Junior, to be able to force me to use 120% of my strength, you are the #1 person under the martial immortal realm. If I remember correctly, the last time I used my full strength, it was during the 100 sect leader battle. The old man roared, treating Lin Ling as a powerful sect leader. Unfortunately, you are still too inexperienced. Sigh. However, he was clearly not afraid of Lin Ling because Lin Ling's current attack was not fatal. Is that so? Sigh. At this moment, Lin Ling gave up on attacking. He appeared behind the old man with 7 realm speed and sent out a palm strike. This guy. Sigh. Seeing Lin Ling's crazy actions, everyone forgot to breathe. Although the sect leader was suppressed by the space-time divine steel, it was very dangerous for Lin Ling to approach him. After all, no matter what, the sect leader was an old monster of the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. He was a huge elephant, and Lin Ling was only an ant. Even the old man was surprised by Lin Ling's actions. Lin Ling's actions were like cards that did not follow common sense. It was very difficult to understand. However, when the palm strike landed behind the old man, he discovered Lin Ling's goal. Lin Ling was actually absorbing the spiritual energy emitted by the black and white energy. One had to know that the black and white energy was very mysterious. It was said that it was a mysterious energy flow that was born when the world was first created. After being observed by experts, they comprehended it. This cultivation technique was called the Heavenly Heaven Divine Reflection Technique, and it was also a cultivation technique that their sect did not pass on. The world essence cultivated by this cultivation technique was very powerful. The black and white energy greatly increased one's defense, speed, and attack. It could even emit spiritual energy at critical moments, allowing the cultivator to remain undefeated. However, Lin Ling seemed to know the characteristics of the black and white energy, so he actually came to absorb it. And if he wanted to stop the space-time divine steel, he could only watch as Lin Ling did whatever he wanted. Bastard! The old man could not help but curse. Senior, you should be careful of the space-time divine steel. Yes, Lin Ling replied indifferently. He operated the primal chaos divine formula in his dantian, and continued to refine the spiritual energy of the black and white energy. This was also because the old man's goal was the space-time divine steel. Otherwise, he would not dare to be so impudent. And after the old man cursed, he also discovered that Lin Ling's cultivation level seemed to be increasing. This made him even more shocked because no one had ever been able to refine the spiritual energy of others and quickly use it for their own use. Did this mean that Lin Ling was treating him like a deity crystal? Boom! When he thought of this, the sect leader was also enraged. He activated a powerful 7th grade boundary origin martial art, which temporarily increased the power of his attack. He actually managed to blast away the divine steel of time and space. His long hair danced wildly, and he looked like a war god from the primordial era. How troublesome! Lin Ling's expression changed. He immediately retreated, recalled the space-time divine steel, and immediately fled into the distance. Where do you think you're going, bastard? The sect leader no longer had the appearance of a senior. At this moment, it was obvious that his lungs were about to explode from anger. Fighting a junior at the true immortal realm, he had repeatedly been injured and even helped his opponent increase his cultivation level. If news of this spread out, he would not be able to face anyone. Go! Seeing that the old man was chasing after him like a madman, Lin Ling activated the Azura sword formation and then madly fled again. The current hymn was clearly not suitable for a head-on clash. The two of them clashed in the 9 Dragons' 18 grooves. Chapter 2863. The sect leader admitted defeat. Lin Ling used all his trump cards to contend with the old man. He did not meet force with force, but attacked from the side. During this process, he repeatedly let little Kunlun launch sneak attacks, and then waited on the space-time divine steel. He took the opportunity to steal the old man's black and white forces again. The old man was unlucky to have met a freak like Lin Ling. The black and white forces that he had painstakingly cultivated all his life were now being taken advantage of by Lin Ling. Don't you fucking run. The old man kept chasing Lin Ling. His beard and hair were messy, and his eyes were red with anger. Previously, he wanted to recruit Lin Ling as a disciple, but now, he did not want to do so at all. If Lin Ling came to their sect, the sect would be in chaos. Because he dared to take advantage of the sect leader, he could not suppress such a disciple. What happened? That's the sect leader of Great Jade Hall. Who is he chasing? That person is really unlucky. That's not necessarily true. Did you see? The sect leader of Great Jade Hall is obviously in a difficult situation, but his opponent is much more relaxed. What? The two of them flew over the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. Many people on the ground saw them, and they all felt as if they were struck by lightning. They never thought that the sect leader of Great Jade Hall would be in such a difficult situation. One had to know that that was the sect leader who taught them martial arts. That's not Lin something from Qingzhou. When they saw the old man's opponent, even the sect leaders of many sects gasped. Obviously, they did not expect that Lin Ling, who came from Qingzhou, would cause such a huge commotion in the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. And this chase lasted for a full 3 days. After fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, Lin Ling still had not lost. Instead, through continuous sneak attacks, his realm essence continued to recover, and he became more and more energetic. Looking at the old man, he was getting weaker and weaker. I've cultivated for 5,000 years. Even though I'm not at the top of the Crimson Prefecture, I'm still famous and highly respected. I'll kill you today, kid. The old man was so angry that he was about to lose his mind. It was no wonder that he was angry. Based on his seniority and strength, he was several times more powerful than Lin Ling. Even when Li Xiaoyao was still alive, he would have to call this old man senior. However, he couldn't swallow such a junior no matter what. But at this moment, Lin Ling finally stopped and floated in the air with a calm expression. Not running anymore? The old man's breathing quickened as he looked at the vine wrapped around Lin Ling's arm with extreme fear. If it weren't for that thing, he would have already defeated Lin Ling. I'm not running anymore because I've broken through. Lin Ling indifferently spat out a sentence. His words caused the old man's expression to freeze. Soon after, he saw a surging aura emanating from Lin Ling's body. Demonic flame change, Azura sword array, flame coffin, heart of the flame god. All of Lin Ling's trump cards were shockingly revealed. And in the sky, the space-time divine steel also smashed down with an ancient aura. The old man immediately started to panic. This was because he saw that Lin Ling had reached the 9th level of the true god realm. But the increase in realm essence wasn't as simple as 1 + 1. Most importantly, he knew that Lin Ling had stolen his black and white energy to break through. I admit defeat. In the end, the old man spat out a few words in a sullen manner. When Lin Ling was at the 8th level of the true god realm, it was already difficult for him to defeat him. Now that his cultivation level had increased, how could he fight? What's more, he was completely drained in these 3 days. Rumble. However, just as he finished speaking, the huge space-time divine steel smashed down from the sky and smashed the old man into the ground. You bastard, I've already admitted defeat. The old man was smashed by the space-time divine steel. At this moment, his eyes were red as he shouted. You wanted to kill me and now you admit defeat? On the space-time divine steel, Lin Ling's blue and white robe appeared. He stood quietly on the divine steel and looked at the old man below. The old man was speechless. He knew that when warriors fought, once they revealed their killing intent, their opponents wouldn't be merciful. However, on account of you helping me increase my cultivation level, I'll spare your life. However, Lin Ling's lips quickly curled into a smile. This was the first time he smiled since coming to the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. Although the old man wanted to kill him, he knew that the old man had the ability to kill him in one blow. However, the old man was curious about his strength, so he raised his attack power bit by bit. This gave Lin Ling a chance. Moreover, if it weren't for the old man's black and white energy, Lin Ling wouldn't have been able to break through. It could only be said that although the old man wasn't a good person, he had a straightforward personality and was very much to Lin Ling's liking. The only flaw was that he was a little too serious. I'll spare your life. From now on, if you see me, Lin Ling, you'll take a detour. Lin Ling's body flickered as he flew off into the distance, causing the old man to fly into a rage out of humiliation. He was a dignified sect leader of a generation, yet a junior actually spared his life in the tone of a reward? Humph. Although he was spared, how could he let go of his pride? In fact, I still like uncivilized old antiques like you. The more serious you are, the cuter I find you. However, Lin Ling's mocking voice drifted over from afar, causing the old man's eyes to twitch and his face to turn red. Get lost. Cuter. I'm a dignified sect leader, yet I'm called cuter? If you want to kill Realgar, you'd better hurry up. That guy isn't very capable, but there are many people who want to curry favor with him. However, after the old man stood up, he still looked into the distance and said, also, there will be many powerhouses in the 100 Sects Conference, including some geniuses from 6th grade sections. They're not weaker than me, and in Qingzhou, they're the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. The old man seemed to have thought of something and reminded him again. Thank you. Lin Ling's chuckle came from afar. He waved his hand and disappeared in front of the old man. In order to take revenge, this guy came to Crimson Province alone. He dares to take responsibility for his actions and is magnanimous. I like him very much. Unfortunately, I've only met one such seedling in my life, so it's difficult to recruit him as a disciple. After Lin Ling completely disappeared, a smile finally appeared on the old man's stern face. Since the beginning of the battle, he had been very appreciative of Lin Ling, so he did not immediately kill him because he appreciated talent. However, who knew that because of his appreciation of talent, the young man's strength had broken through instead. He was truly a monstrous existence. However, when he thought of Lin Ling's strength, his smile turned into a bitter smile. Although he wanted to take Lin Ling as a disciple, the disciple was stronger than the master, so how could he recruit him? What an interesting old man. At that moment, Lin Ling was flying towards the depths of the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. The battle with the sect leader had wasted a lot of his time, but Lin Ling had also gained great benefits. His realm had greatly improved, and he was more familiar with the various powers in his body. In fact, he was still very grateful to that senior. Chapter 2864. I'm saying that everyone here is just an ant. With my current ability, I'm afraid that even if Wu Shang is in the 2nd stage realm, I wouldn't be afraid. And little Kunlun, it actually has the ability to beat up innate talents. Lin Ling touched the vine which was wrapped around his left arm. Towards this mysterious vine, he was getting more and more curious. As though it had sensed Lin Ling's words, the little leaves on the vine started to sway, giving off an extremely adorable feeling. Realgar, I'm here to kill you. After his ability had increased greatly, the current Lin Ling wasn't afraid of anything. If God blocked him, he would kill God. If Buddha blocked him, he would destroy Buddha. At this very moment, at the location where the battle took place 3 days ago, everyone was still waiting there quietly as they surrounded Realgar, discussing animatedly. I wonder how it is now. Lin Ling is really crazy, stirring up the 9 dragons and 18 ravines. From what I see, he's dead for sure. Let's just wait for the good news. As for Realgar, his expression was extremely grave, but he consoled himself that how could Lin Ling be that senior's opponent? Definitely not. Realgar, I'm here. But at this moment, a sharp roar was heard from afar, causing the sky to change color. A slender figure mixed with a sharp aura, as though he was a war god, walked over from the sky. Every step he took was as though an emperor was shaking, causing the 9 dragons and 18 ravines to shake. Lin Ling, you're back? Looking at that figure, the surrounding people felt as though they were struck by lightning. 3 days ago, Lin Ling arrived in a tyrannical manner, sweeping away all the elite geniuses in the 100-sect tournament and finally attracting the sect master-level practitioners. They thought that once the sect master made his move, Lin Ling would definitely be defeated. But in the end, that sect master wasn't able to take down Lin Ling, and after 3 days and 3 nights of battle, finally, Lin Ling returned victorious. Then where's Great Jade Hall's sect master? Someone's gaze started to search the surroundings. Aren't you talking rubbish? If Great Jade Hall's sect master had won, he would have appeared long ago. Someone with quick reflexes said. Everyone started to make guesses. Could it be that Great Jade Hall's sect master had lost to Lin Ling? Their faces immediately turned as ugly as the color of pig liver. Bang bang bang. Lin Ling's pace wasn't fast, but it was as if he was stepping on everyone's hearts. Every step he took made them feel a bit shorter. Some of the weaker ones even began to tremble and spit out a mouthful of blood. Plop. The one with the biggest reaction was naturally Realgar. He was so scared that he fell to the ground. Up until now, he had never placed Lin Ling in his eyes, because even though Lin Ling was the most powerful exceptional talent, he was still half a step into the ranks of Qing Province's 9 great heavens. Yet now, he was sure that Lin Ling already had the strength of one of Qing Province's 9 great heavens. You ants, scram. At this time, Lin Ling's voice floated out. It was very calm, but when it fell into the ears of the various elite geniuses, it was as loud as thunder. You ants? They were all ants. They all frowned. Eldest senior brother Deng Yin. He's calling you ants. Moreover, you said that you would protect me. Realgar looked towards everyone, trying to ask for their help. They all laughed bitterly. They had indeed said these words, but at that time, they didn't know Lin Ling was this strong. If I'm captured by him, how will you all explain this to the sect master? Realgar shouted anxiously. Finally, someone walked out. He calmly looked towards the sky and said, Qing Province's Lin Ling, we admit that you are quite formidable, but don't look down on us. If we fight to the death, you might not be able to gain an advantage. That's right, we know that you have enmity with Brother Realgar, but can you give us a day's time? After a day, our sect master will arrive. If you want Realgar, feel free to do so. I hope you can give us some face. Also, even though we are not as strong as you, we are still elite geniuses. You calling us ants, I can't swallow this anger. The voices continued to ring out, causing Realgar to laugh uncontrollably. He hoped that Lin Ling would be intimidated by them and leave. This was his only hope. However, Lin Ling still continued to move forward. It was as if the words of those people were like the chirping of sparrows. When he reached the ground, he looked at the person who first came out and said, Ant, I'm not targeting you. As soon as he said this, the person's expression softened. Lin Ling was indeed giving him face. I'm saying that everyone here is an ant. However, Lin Ling's next sentence stunned everyone. This Qing Province's Lin Ling was too arrogant. They were all furious, and all of them released their aura. However, Lin Ling's expression was still calm. He quietly looked at the group of people. His gaze was as calm as the mountains and flowing water. In the eyes of the group of people, their aura gradually weakened, and their fighting spirit gradually dimmed. They didn't know why, but that gaze made them feel terrified. The calmer it was, the more terrifying it was. It was as if in another incense stick's time, if they didn't leave, they would die. Sorry, we offended you before. The young man who first came out clasped his fists, bowed, and left immediately. He had a feeling that if he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to. I'll also apologize. I'll leave first. Brother Realgar, I'm sorry. This is a grudge between you and him. I can't help. After someone took the lead, the others spoke up one after another. It was obvious that they were just trying to show off. However, this show of strength was destroyed by Lin Ling's gaze and calm words. I'm not targeting you. I'm just saying that everyone here is an ant. This sentence lingered in their minds. How calm, how domineering. Most importantly, they couldn't refute it, nor could they resist it. Don't go. Realgar's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he watched the crowd leave anxiously. Lin Ling had become so powerful? He made the geniuses of the 100 sects of the Crimson Province flee with just one sentence. This made him feel unreal. Lin Ling didn't look at Realgar. Instead, he sat cross-legged and comprehended his own strength. Not long ago, when he fought with the head of the Great Jade Pure Hall, He continuously refined his opponent's black and white energies. Not only did his first dantian reach the 9th level of the True God realm, even his other dantians reached the 9th level of the True God realm. Now, relying on the fusion of his 3 dantians, without using martial arts, he could defeat a first-level martial immortal with just his boundary essence. Therefore, he was sure that he had already stepped into the ranks of the 9 heavens of the Green Province. So calm. Lin Ling is actually cultivating. This is a good opportunity. Why don't we make a move? If we can protect Realgar, it'll be a great merit. Get out of here. Don't get us killed. I see that Lin Ling's killing intent is extremely dense. He's definitely not a soft persimmon. You're right. I shouldn't think like that. The onlookers in the distance started whispering. Even if Lin Ling was cultivating, they didn't dare to get close. As for Realgar, his face was extremely gloomy. Chapter 2865. The Mastermind. Of course, Xiong Huang had thought of running away. However, every time he had this thought, Lin Ling's eyelashes would flutter and he would not dare to move. And this feeling of not being able to move up or down made him feel like years, as if he was suffering. Lin Ling continued to ignore him. Thinking back to the battle with the old man, he realized that he had gained a lot from that battle. Memories of the battle between Li Xiaoyao and the geniuses of the 9 prefectures rose in his mind. These memories had been covered in dust. Due to the passage of time, Lin Ling had forgotten about them. During this period of time, the sacred ground of the rainforest was facing a calamity. This caused the Emperor's fate to affect me. Thinking about the destruction of the 2 large commanderies, the destruction of the flickering light world and other matters, Lin Ling knew that the Son of Heaven that he possessed was also affecting him. Although he did not care about the slaughter, he did not like to be controlled and influenced by it. Tell me, who is the mastermind behind you? After an unknown amount of time, Lin Ling finally opened his eyes. His words and appearance made him look like an influential figure. However, he looked very young, which gave people a strange feeling. Xiong Huang's heart skipped a beat. He knew that this moment would come, but when it really came, he was still a little panicked. I don't know. However, when Xiong Huang thought of that lord, he gritted his teeth. Lin Ling nodded. His expression was still calm, but it was frightening. He stood up and waved his left hand. The vine appeared. Pah! The vine lashed out like a whip. Under the whip, a painful sound came from Xiong Huang's mouth. His talent was pulled out. That feeling was as painful as the soul being whipped. Ah! Xiong Huang's voice was like a pig being slaughtered, shocking the surroundings. Hearing that voice, the people in the distance were frightened. They could feel the pain Xiong Huang was in. Lin Ling, if you have the ability, kill me. Xiong Huang roared. However, Lin Ling's expression was still calm. In his eyes, his close friends from the sacred ground of the rainforest floated past like smoke. Lord Shui Wu, Taoist came, Lord Pu, there were too many. Pah! Lin Ling lashed out with his whip as each figure appeared in his mind. Furthermore, a whip formed from white radiance appeared in his right hand. He brandished the whip with both hands and struck the Realgar. This whip was condensed from soul force and specialized in extracting souls. If you don't want to talk, fine. I have all the time in the world. I'll beat you until you talk. Oh! Realgar groaned in pain from the beating. Its entire body was convulsing, and it was in so much pain that snot and tears were spurting out. In the end, even his urine and feces were beaten out. His soul force was constantly trembling as it was being cut apart and split apart. However, the white whip had a miraculous effect. While it was splitting apart, it was also repairing his soul force. Just like that, it continued to split apart and repair itself, making him wish he was dead. How frightening! That terrifying scene caused the bodies of the people in the distance to tremble. In truth, to a martial artist, the pain of the mortal body was the weakest. The pain of the soul, or even the pain of having one's talent extracted, these were the true excruciating pains. Realgar. So miserable. What kind of thing did this guy do to make Lin Ling torture him like this? Who knows? I just feel that this Lin Ling is too fierce. Some of the more cowardly people even left directly because they didn't dare to look at that tragic scene anymore. Ha ha ha. 9th of September wine. Realgar, who was being whipped, seemed to have gone crazy and was laughing loudly. In truth, it was a painful laugh. Don't hit me anymore. I will kowtow to you. I will call you ancestor. Spare me. However, after the laughter, it turned into tears. His tears dyed the ground wet. However, Lin Ling did not seem to hear it. He continued to whip. His face was still calm, but there was a hint of madness in his eyes. Every lash of the whip was for the sake of a close friend who had passed away. Those people had no enmity with Realgar. Because they had helped Realgar, they had all died. Lin Ling felt indignant for them. If the country is destroyed, I will destroy the world. This was the sentence left behind by Realgar. Lin Ling wanted him to regret this sentence. Anyone who dared to touch Lin Ling's people would be hunted down by Lin Ling, even if Lin Ling had to kill them to the ends of the earth. It was useless for anyone to protect him. Pa! Following a crisp sound, the people in the distance saw a strange force rushing out from Realgar's body. Eventually, it turned into ashes. That seems to be an innate talent. Oh my God, he destroyed Realgar's innate talent. Realizing this, the people's faces turned pale. What a terrifying vine. This meant that even if Realgar was still a martial artist, he could no longer display the power of his innate talent. His combat power had been reduced by at least 70%. My innate talent. Realgar was in the most pain. In fact, he was also a very good genius. Otherwise, he would not have been valued by the Empress Dowager. But now, he was half a cripple. With the Empress Dowager's ruthless character, he knew that even if he returned alive, the Empress Dowager would not spare his life. This meant that he, Realgar, was finished. He was completely finished. And the reason for all this was that he had provoked Lin Ling. What sin have I committed? There are so many worlds in the North region. Why did I have to destroy the rainforest sacred land? Realgar groaned, but it could not stop Lin Ling's whip. In fact, he was lashing more and more fiercely. It was as if the blood debt of everyone in the rainforest sacred land was all on Realgar. And the rainforest sacred land had countless people. However many people there were, Lin Ling would lash out as many times. I will tell you who the murderer is. I beg you to stop. Lin Ling, I was wrong. Please let me go. The murderer is the Empress Dowager. She obtained the Son of Heaven's mandate. That is the Son of Heaven's mandate that requires souls and bodies. Therefore, not only did she want to kill, she also wanted to obtain a large amount of souls. In the end, Realgar finally revealed the murderer. Lin Ling's whip finally stopped. His expression was grave as he raised his hand and looked at the horizon. The Empress Dowager. Emperor Qing's woman. All of this was indeed related to the Son of Heaven's mandate. In order to become the Emperor Qing, the Empress Dowager actually made the innocent people of the world sell their lives for her. What a vicious woman. Although Lin Ling had destroyed 2 large commanderies and destroyed the flickering world, he had killed countless people. However, Lin Ling had his own principles when it came to killing people. He did not kill for the Son of Heaven's mandate. Who else? Lin Ling's voice was very gloomy. There are also the Luo Sha Thorn and the Sunbone. They asked me to help them destroy the rainforest sacred land. Realgar quickly answered Lin Ling. After Lin Ling withdrew his whip, Realgar finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, his heart was filled with bitterness. Previously, he had planned to not say anything even if he was beaten to death. However, Lin Ling did not say anything and used the divine whip on him. In the end, he did not need Lin Ling to ask. He was beaten to the point where he was forced to speak. They are indeed involved. Lin Ling gritted his teeth like a ferocious lone wolf. Chapter 2866. Surrender and await capture. Lin Ling, stop hitting me. I've already told you. Why are you still hitting me? Realgar's tears flowed out as he knelt down and begged for mercy. His body trembled as his soul was being whipped. There are hundreds of millions of people in the sacred land of the rainforest. How can I let you off just because you're begging for mercy? Are their lives not lives? If I don't avenge them, who will avenge them? Lin Ling roared as his whip became even more frenzied. Rumble! Behind Realgar, the ancient basalt rocks were crushed into powder by the aura emitted by the whip. If I don't avenge them, who will avenge them? That domineering and resolute voice swept through the world like a violent storm. He really came to avenge them. That crazy Lin Ling. He came all the way from Qingzhou to Crimson Prefecture just to avenge them. He's the only madman in the world who dares to do so. The people in the distance looked at Lin Ling. They knew why Lin Ling was so angry. Realgar must have done something that made him angry. As for the enmity between martial artists, unless they had killed each other's father, they would rarely implicate their family members. Therefore, Realgar was also a taboo. That was because he didn't have any feud with Lin Ling Bang. After countless whips, Realgar finally fainted. Lin Ling held the long whip in his hand. His breathing was rapid and his eyes were red. No one knew what he was thinking. Empress Dowager, I, Lin Ling, will find you. Finally, he muttered to himself. With a wave of his left hand, the vine turned into a rope and tied Realgar up. Then, Lin Ling walked into the distance. Rumble! It was as if he was carrying a dead dog. Wherever he passed, the Realgar would crash into the black tortoise ancient rocks, causing them to shatter. Is that guy going to bring Realgar back just like that? Seeing Lin Ling's actions, many people had their own guesses. Then they laughed bitterly. Realgar offended Lin Ling. It was as if it had offended a malefic star that it shouldn't have offended in its lifetime. Lin Ling didn't care about the gazes around him. He put on the large cloak again and gradually disappeared into the distance. Wherever he passed, people respectfully opened a path for him. After an unknown amount of time, figures came from afar. When they saw the scene in front of them, their faces were extremely ugly. Where's Realgar? An elder roared. Realgar was lost in front of them. How were they going to explain it to the Empress Dowager? It was taken away by Lin Ling of Qingzhou. The surrounding elite geniuses said bitterly. What? Those sect leaders and elders were all stunned, unable to believe the crowd's words. There are so many of you, including 3 elders and a sect master, yet none of you were able to stop him? You must be joking. The first old man roared angrily. Senior, do we look like we're kidding? That Lin Ling is crazy. He defeated everyone by himself and stirred up chaos. None of us can stop him. The disciples said one after another. The smiles on their faces were even more bitter. Hearing that, the sect leaders fell silent. Their hearts were pounding. At first, they thought that Lin Ling was inferior to the disciples of the 100 sects. But now, they felt that they had underestimated Lin Ling. Find him. Don't let him leave the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. The elder gave the final order. Lin Ling really wanted to leave the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. However, this place was too big and he didn't know how to leave. Rumble! He dragged the Realgar and continued to walk forward. Looking from afar, this scene was extremely shocking. The people they met along the way were also eye-opening. However, when they saw that Lin Ling was wearing a large cloak, they didn't dare to ask anything. How do I leave this place? Lin Ling naturally noticed the people in the distance and asked coldly. Senior, you can't leave this place. You can only leave after half a year. Although they didn't know who Lin Ling was talking to, the elite geniuses in the distance still replied respectfully. So troublesome? Lin Ling walked forward again. It seemed that there was a time limit to the 100 sect conference. This meant that he could only endure for half a year. Have you seen Lin Ling? After Lin Ling disappeared for a long time, a large number of people stepped on ancient rocks and leaped over like dragonflies. The person in the lead was very young, but he had a strong sense of majesty. You are? The people around him immediately replied solemnly. They felt bitter. Previously, they saw the cloaked man dragging a dog. He seemed to be very powerful. Now, they encountered a group of people whose strength was hard to see through. Why were they so unlucky? Could it be that this group of people was here to snatch the mysterious light grass? I'm Wang Guangming from the Star Sect. The young man in the lead said indifferently. It's you. Hearing that, the faces of the elite geniuses changed drastically. This was an extremely powerful existence in the 100 sect conference. It was rumored that he was even stronger than the sect leader of a 4th-grade orthodox martial arts sect. Speak. The young man's face became even colder. We don't know who Lin Ling is. The elite geniuses said bitterly. However, one of them seemed to have thought of something. Could it be the cloaked man who passed by earlier? What is he like? He's very mysterious. He's holding a vine and dragging a dog behind him. However, I didn't see clearly. The thing he's dragging seems to be a person. Chase. Hearing that, the young man led the group forward. He had received a mission from the sect leader, which was to save Xiong Huang no matter what. Qingzhou Linling, I've underestimated you. However, my strength is comparable to the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. I'd like to see how powerful you are. The young man's eyes kept flickering with excitement. Right now, no one could save Xiong Huang except for him. Therefore, if he succeeded, he would be able to obtain a favor from the Empress Dowager of the Great Azure God Dynasty. I see it. It's in front. Ahead. After an unknown period of time, the junior brother beside him suddenly shouted in surprise. The young man named Wang Guang was also delighted. However, when he saw Lin Ling's appearance, he was secretly shocked. On the ground, the cloaked man was like a lone ranger. He strolled in the lonely Xuanwu ancient rock, disappearing and reappearing. Behind him, there was a vine that tied up a young man. That young man was in a miserable state. His long hair was messy, and his face was full of snot and tears. He looked like a dog. There was no doubt that it was Xiong Huang. They did not expect that Xiong Huang would end up in such a situation, being dragged around like a dog. Moreover, Lin Ling should know that the 100 sects were looking for him. Instead of hiding, he walked freely. This scene was very unreal. Stop him. Stop him. Wang Guang waved his hand. Whoosh. The crowd immediately spread out and rushed forward, surrounding Lin Ling. Every one of them was sneering. Lin Ling, surrender and we can spare your life. One of them shouted. Chapter 2867. I'm afraid I'll kill you. The group of people were all in the true god realm. However, one of them was in the first level of the martial immortal realm. Moreover, his talent was not weak. He had a 7th level awakened divine body, which was even stronger than the old man he defeated earlier. Lin Ling put down the realgar. Wang Guangming also looked at Lin Ling. After discovering that Lin Ling was in the 9th level of the true god realm, he shook his head in disdain. He pointed at Lin Ling and said, Lin Ling from the Azure province, I'll give you 2 choices. 1. Let them go and kneel down to admit your mistake. 2. Fight with me. I'd like to see how powerful the geniuses from the Azure province are. That's right. Lin Ling, which one do you choose? The surrounding junior brothers also began to roar. Lin Ling finally slowly took off his hat. You really want to fight? Haha, you're scared? Is this all you've got in the Azure province? A bunch of cowards? Wang Guangming sneered. His tone was filled with disdain. Hearing that, Lin Ling also sneered. I'm afraid I'll kill you. Kill us. Wang Guangming seemed to have misheard something. The crowd was also stunned. Then laughter rang out. They also knew that Lin Ling had defeated the head of the Great Jade Pure Hall. However, Wang Guangming was not weaker than the head of the Great Jade Pure Hall. Not only was he in the martial immortal realm, he also had talent that surpassed the head of the Great Jade Pure Hall. He was a genius that everyone revered in the 100 sect gathering. Lin Ling was in the 9th level of the true god realm. Moreover, he had many trump cards. Everyone knew that. However, that wasn't enough to defeat Wang Guangming. Haha, then try to kill us. Let me tell you. Even if Senior Guangming spares your life, we won't spare you. Since you dared to come to the Scarlet Province, even if you're one of the 9 heavens of the Azure Province, you'll still have to obediently lie down. Angry shouts rang out. There were even people who laughed loudly. Their laughter was filled with disdain. After the crowd spoke, Wang Guangming also walked out. His whole body became dazzling. Golden light, white, blue, red, and even black light appeared and condensed on his body. It made people feel like they wanted to worship him. A rank 7 awakened divine body was indeed extraordinary. Its aura was so strong that it could make people feel pressured. I've long wanted to meet the 9 heavens of Qing province, but I never had the chance to meet them. Then, I'll start with you. Wang Guangming said calmly after unleashing his powerful talent. To be honest, you seem to have stepped into the ranks of the 9 heavens of Qing province, but if you really want to fight, you still can't compare to them. Lin Ling also raised his head and shook his head. Is he evaluating senior brother Guangming as a senior? Haha, he must be crazy. Not only did people mock Lin Ling, but they also sympathized with Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling had no idea what it meant to be a genius of the Crimson Province. Kid, your mouth is very powerful, But I wonder if your strength is as good as yours. Wang Guangming was so angry that he laughed because he thought that Lin Ling would treat him seriously. Who knew that Lin Ling's words were filled with disdain? Did Lin Ling have the qualifications to do so? Crackle! A long halberd appeared in his hand. It was also shining brightly, stirring up the wind and clouds. Senior brother Guangming is so handsome. Seeing this, the female disciples around also cheered and their eyes were filled with admiration. The long halberd was mixed with surging realm essence. In addition to Wang Guangming's powerful talent, it was faster than light and pierced towards Lin Ling. At this moment, the sky suddenly changed color. All the light was controlled by Wang Guangming. It was extremely powerful. However, at this moment, Lin Ling also made his move. With a clap of his right hand, the tyrannical song sword shot out. However, his left hand was the most terrifying move. The vine released the realgar and threw it towards Wang Guangming's whip like a snake. After the whip was released, the realgar woke up and shouted excitedly, "Save me, save me!" Slap! However, the mysterious vine was unpredictable. It extracted the wind from the universe and suddenly appeared beside Wang Guangming like an ancient law. That strange appearance made Wang Guangming's expression change slightly. However, he believed in his talent because he was light. Who had seen someone who could defeat light? When the sword slashed towards the light was completely unharmed. The only nemesis of light was darkness. Only darkness could expel light. Therefore, Wang Guangming was very confident in his talent. Slap! However, this time, he was obviously going to be disappointed. That was because little Kunlun specialized in extracting talent. Under the whip, Wang Guangming found that the strength in his body was drained. Then, his dantian was in pain. Above his head, a colorful light was drawn out. This caused the power of the long halberd that he used to attack to be greatly reduced. His expression changed drastically. How could this be? Rumble! However, at this moment, a huge ancient sword came slashing down from the sky. Wang Guangming, who had lost 70% of his strength, widened his eyes. He could only watch as the giant sword got closer and closer to his eyes. In fact, that sword wasn't very strong to him. However, that was under the premise that he still had his innate talent. Therefore, he only felt a sense of helplessness in the face of that sword. Bang! Bang! Without a word, the sword directly slashed Wang Guangming into pieces. Almost at the same time, a cloaked figure holding a huge sword floated down from the sky. On the ground, everyone was silent. The realgar's expectant face turned pale. Of course, he recognized Wang Guangming. He was an existence comparable to the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. However, he could not block Lin Ling's sword. In fact, you're even weaker than the leader of the Great Jade Pure Hall. At the same time, Lin Ling's voice drifted out like the wind. That was indeed the case. Lin Ling knew that Wang Guangming relied too much on his talent. With little Kunlun, any person with great talent would be greatly reduced when they met Lin Ling. Without talent, Wang Guangming was only an ordinary first-level martial immortal. Senior brother died just like that? One sword? After a moment of silence, people began to mumble to themselves. Then their hearts rumbled. Senior brother Wang Guangming was more powerful than many sect leaders. He had participated in the sect leader competition and defeated many sect leaders. He was also designated as the next sect leader of the Full Moon sect. However, such a terrifying genius had been slain by Yi Futian. Moreover, it was with one sword. At this moment, they could not laugh. I told you not to court death. Lin Ling put on his hat again. However, his indifferent gaze looked through the hat at the remaining people. Leave your treasures behind and then leave. If I really attack, you'll all end up dead. Also, don't think about informing your sect leader. Even if he comes, he might also end up dead. A soft voice drifted out of Lin Ling's mouth at the same time. Hearing that, people's hearts trembled fiercely. This Lin Ling of Qingzhou was too arrogant. Even if the sect leader came, he would also die? Although they did not believe Lin Ling's words, they could only bow down to Lin Ling. Therefore, they all left their treasures behind and fled into the distance. Chapter 2868. Unbridled. Realgar, do you really think that someone can save you? Lin Ling kept little Kunlun and tied Realgar up again, dragging him forward like a dog. This caused Realgar's heart to turn to ashes. Could it be that Lin Ling was going to do whatever he wanted in the 100 sect meet? As for the treasures in the surroundings, Lin Ling had collected all of them and there were quite a number of black light grass. Previously, he had considered that since he couldn't leave in the short term, he would try his best to collect treasures and raise his strength at the same time. In the following period of time, Lin Ling dragged Realgar forward and collected all the black light grass that he encountered along the way. Furthermore, with the help of the treasures that he had plundered, he naturally reached the 10th level of the True God realm 3 months later. However, after raising his cultivation level, Lin Ling did not stop cultivating and continued to comprehend the ultimate martial Dao. Currently, his ultimate sword Dao was very powerful. It was a Dao domain and possessed more than 100% chaotic energy. However, the Azura sword array had also been cultivated to the peak, so there was only a slight increase in its power. This caused Lin Ling's gaze to fall on the evil flame change. The evil flame change had 6 changes, which were evil flame change, heaven shocking change, wind and cloud change, heaven and earth change, heaven and earth change. The last change, heaven and earth change. This required an enormous amount of boundary essence to support it. Therefore, even the evil flame god found it difficult to comprehend it. However, Lin Ling possessed 3 dantians and boundary essence was not a problem. The last change was comprehending the power of the universe. This was a power that was even more ancient than chaotic energy. Under the ancient rock, Lin Ling sat cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed. His delicate and handsome face was frowning and unfurling from time to time. Around him, fist-sized flaming coffins floated like gorgeous flaming butterflies. Not far away, Realgar was still tied up, but his expression was extremely ugly. During this period of time, he had watched as Lin Ling broke through his cultivation level repeatedly. He realized that Lin Ling's cultivation seemed to have no bottlenecks at all. In fact, Lin Ling gave him the feeling of a martial arts legend. Now, when he saw a large number of small coffins floating around Lin Ling, he immediately became frightened. If he remembered correctly, that was the flame coffin. This was also the martial art that Lin Ling relied on to become famous. But now, there wasn't just one coffin, but hundreds of them. It was hard to imagine. If these coffins were to fall to the ground, then myriad worlds would be destroyed. His Dao of Fire is rising at a crazy rate. I'm afraid he has already reached the Dao domain of the ultimate martial Dao. Furthermore, he's in a very peak state. Why is his perception so strong? Right now, in Qing province, he would be a true giant. I'm afraid he would be ranked in the top few of the 9 heavens in Qing province. I actually provoked such a monstrous character. I regret it so much. A large number of thoughts appeared in Realgar's mind. However, Realgar's guess wasn't wrong. Lin Ling's evil flame transformation's final transformation, heaven and earth transformation, not only did it raise Lin Ling's boundary essence to the 3rd level, it also raised his speed by a huge margin, and added another 10% of the power of the universe. Moreover, after activating the heaven and earth transformation, Lin Ling had the speed of 11 worlds. And by relying on the godly demon body, it was also the speed of 9 worlds. It could be said that as long as it was the 1st level of the martial immortal realm, Lin Ling could kill him effortlessly. After an unknown period of time, Lin Ling finally stood up and said with a smile, "There's still 1 more month." After saying that, he dragged Realgar and set off on his journey again. Moreover, his advance could be said to be unrestrained. That's Qing province's Lin Ling. He appeared again. Last month, he defeated the head of the Lutian water sect, Venerable Yun Zhou. Yes. Now, there are not many people who dare to face the head of the 100 sect gathering. This expert took Realgar away just like that. Our 100 sect gathering can't do anything about it and let him run rampant. Many of the people who discovered Lin Ling began to discuss among themselves. In the nearby area, Qing province's Lin Ling could be said to have risen to fame like a ferocious dragon crossing the river. People no longer treated him as a genius, but as a head. However, what was ironic was that Lin Ling was very young and had cultivated for less than 2,000 years. Lin Ling did not care about the gazes of the people in the 100 sect gathering. His goal was to bring Realgar out of here. Therefore, he dragged Realgar further and further away. On this day, he discovered that the surrounding rocks had started to change color and turned into a blood-red color. The 18 ravines of the 9 dragons is very, very big. Even the head of the 100 sect gathering has not traveled through it. What exactly is this place? Looking at the blood-red rocks indifferently, Lin Ling frowned and said. Now, he could not leave even if he wanted to. All the mysterious light grass in the nearby area had been plundered by him. Therefore, he was very depressed. Lin Ling, you've already walked out of the territory of the 100 sect gathering. At this moment Realgar, who was tied up, said coldly. That's right. You've already arrived at the territory to the east of the Crimson Province. At this time, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared on top of a massive blood-red ancient rock. He looked down at Lin Ling, but there was a trace of surprise in the depths of his eyes. This was because he discovered that this mysterious cloaked figure didn't seem to be someone from his side. What do you mean by that? Lin Ling, who was wearing a large cloak, asked indifferently. This time, the middle-aged man was even more surprised because Lin Ling's reaction was too calm. One must know that he was an expert at the second level of the martial immortal realm and the head of a sect. However, the mysterious cloaked man did not panic at all when he saw him. The Crimson Province is divided into 4 directions: east, west, north, and south. The 100 sect gathering is a sect gathering that represents the 4 directions. You may be from the sect to the west of the Crimson Province, but this is the territory to the east of the Crimson Province, said the middle-aged man. I see. Lin Ling nodded. The 18 ravines of the 9 dragons was larger than he had imagined. The 100 sect gathering represented the entire Crimson Province. The area he was in previously was only one of the 100 great sects in one of the regions. This further showed that the Crimson Province was stronger than the Qing Province. After all, in the area he was in previously, many people were more powerful than the experts in the Qing Province, not to mention the area he was in now. Sir, are you interested in traveling with me? The middle-aged man pondered for a while and suddenly smiled. Then he explained, it's like this. We came across a secret realm in the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. It's called the Dragon Scale Secret Realm, and we found many treasures. However, our opponent, the Twin Dragon sect, appeared and killed many of our people and seized many treasures. Therefore, we need help now. Your sect? You're the head of a sect? Lin Ling asked indifferently. That's right. I'm the head of the Jialan Ancient Martial Arts sect. I've reached an agreement with a few other sect heads to form an alliance. However, the Twin Dragons sect is an old rival. They have gathered many sects to form an alliance to snatch treasures. Of course, the most important thing is that they found an old monster from somewhere. He's very powerful and has 20% of the power of the universe. Most of us only have 10% of the power of the universe. Therefore, we're no match for him, said the middle-aged man slowly. However, when he mentioned the Twin Dragons sect, he gritted his teeth. I'm only at the True God realm. Do you think I can help? Chapter 2869. Invitation. At first, I thought you were an ordinary true god. However, when I appeared, your reaction was very calm and you spoke as if you were on the same level as me. Therefore, I thought that your strength is not weaker than mine. I'm afraid that you're hiding your cultivation with a cultivation technique. Moreover, you should be a sect leader. The middle-aged man laughed and threw out a brocade bag. Lin Ling took it and found that there were many mysterious light herbs inside. It must be the reward. Okay, but I have a condition. If you get the treasures of the Dragon Scale Mystery Realm, I want one of them. Deal. The two of them nodded. Lin Ling still had a month before he could leave. Since he had nothing to do, he might as well go and take a look. His strength had increased greatly, and he was not afraid of ordinary early-stage martial immortals. Moreover, he wanted to see how powerful an expert who had 20% of the power of the universe was. For some older martial artists, if their talent was not strong, they had to rely on the ultimate martial path. The ultimate martial path was the power of the universe. Can I see your appearance? The middle-aged man said again. Without waiting for Lin Ling's reply, he flicked his finger and a powerful boundary essence shot towards Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling did not move. The tyrannical song sword behind him shot out on its own and formed a sword array to block the realm essence. Haha, then you can do it yourself. The middle-aged man was slightly surprised. He had given the mysterious light herbs as a reward, so he definitely would not give it for free. Therefore he had tested him before. Although he had only used 30% of his strength, the other party had blocked it calmly. Obviously, he had used 30% of his strength. This meant that he had guessed correctly. The other party was not much weaker than him. His reward was not given for free. In fact, he did not know that Lin Ling had only used 10% of his strength. I'm still used to taking off my cloak. Lin Ling also knew the other party's intention. He could understand. He took off his cloak and revealed his handsome face. You're so young? Seeing this, the middle-aged man opened his mouth wide and his face was filled with disbelief. He thought that Lin Ling was also an old monster, but who knew that he was a disciple? Could it be that I'm not qualified to join? Lin Ling smiled. Enough. Enough. The middle-aged man hurriedly nodded. He was still in shock. He had never seen such a young expert before. In fact, he was also a sect master with 1 million disciples. His sect also had countless geniuses, but a monstrous disciple like Lin Ling could be said to be non-existent. However, no matter how young this young man was, his strength had clearly reached the standard and could help them. Then let's go. This guy behind you. It's just a dog. It won't get in the way. The two of them immediately moved forward. Of course, on the way, the middle-aged man also introduced himself. His name was Tianhu Zhenren, and he was the head of a sect with more than 1 million disciples. Lin Ling also introduced himself. His attitude towards Tianhu Zhenren was neither haughty nor humble, which surprised the latter. He found that Lin Ling's attitude towards him was very calm, even as if he was a lord. How could he know that Lin Ling came from the west of the Crimson State? Even the sect master on his side was scared by him. A moment later, the two of them arrived at a red valley. The ground here was also like scales, but the color was red. Walking on the ground was like walking on the body of a giant dragon. The red schists were the scales. Sect master. Voices quickly sounded. Looking around, the valley was full of people sitting in rows. They were all Tianhu Zhenren's disciples. Hurry up and greet Senior Lin. Tianhu Zhenren said sternly, making everyone salute Lin Ling. Tianhu Zhenren looked at Lin Ling and said, by the way, we have a total of 5 sects in the alliance. They have also gone to look for experts. They should be back by now. As he spoke, there was a whistling sound in the distance. A fierce tiger was galloping in the sky. Then, several figures jumped down from the tiger and walked towards the valley. The 4 people in the lead were wearing the robes of the sect masters. They were not young. Behind them were 6 people with extraordinary auras. One of them even had the aura of a venerable emperor. They were all experts in the martial immortal realm. They were as ethereal as immortals, as if they had cultivated for countless years. These are the disciples of your sect? Among the 6 people, an old man spoke. He was a senior in the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. He was extremely powerful. The other 4 sect masters immediately smiled and explained. It could be seen that the 6 people were invited by them. Tianhu Zhenren also walked over with Lin Ling. He introduced them to Lin Ling. These are the seniors of the Crimson State. You can't underestimate them. This is the Sky Fantasy Old Man. He introduced them one by one. Lin Ling nodded slightly. He did not salute or say anything. On the contrary, the 6 people stared at Lin Ling with a strange expression. The old man in the lead frowned and said, so young? You asked him to help. Do you want to kill him? His cultivation time is only at the level of your disciple. This old man had some skill. He actually saw through Lin Ling's age. He's not even a martial immortal realm expert. You must be joking. The other people also frowned. Their words shocked Tianhu Zhenren's disciples. They did not expect that the expert invited by the sect master was the same age as them. Tianhu Zhenren was a little embarrassed. The other 4 sect masters also looked at him suspiciously. They did not understand why he invited Lin Ling. It seems that you don't know who your opponent is. They invited the 7 Stars Emperor in daytime. He's a big shot in the Crimson State. He's from the Heavenly Court and controls 20% of the power of the universe. He has few opponents in the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. It's said that he has defeated experts with desolate body before. The power of the universe is the ultimate power. It's born in the universe. It's even more terrifying than the power of the universe. The old man said with a frown. He was not the master, so he did not drive Lin Ling away. He was just saying that Lin Ling could not help at all. Under Lin Ling's cloak, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. This old man was giving him pointers? In terms of the power of the universe, although Li Xiaoya was not number one in the past, he was definitely more familiar with it than them. He did not explain. He would slowly watch these seniors put on an act. Watch carefully. The old man stretched out one hand and pointed to the sky. A strong light shot into the sky, as if the aura of the ancient era had erupted. Immediately, cracks appeared in the sky. One must know that this was the void of the universe, the 9 dragons and 18 ravines. The old man was able to break through the void. From this, one could see that the power of the universe was indeed amazing. Rumble. The sky rumbled incessantly as cracks spread out like glass. Seeing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The power of the universe was the foundation of martial artists. Moreover, it was not weak and could destroy 10,000 worlds. However, the laws of the universe did not fear the power of the universe. For example, in the Crimson State, no matter how strong a martial artist was, he could not break this huge world. This was the weakness of the universe. However, the power of the universe could. When the powerful 9 states was attacked by the power of the universe, it would also undergo a tremendous change. Chapter 2870. Dragon Scale Secret Realm. Most of you here have 10% of the power of the universe, but that 7 stars Emperor of the Heavenly Court has 10% more power of the universe than you. Don't underestimate this 10%. If your talent is not as good as his, he can easily kill you. Old man. That old man said again, causing Daoist Tianhu and the others to break out in cold sweat. Even in the same realm, there are strong and weak. A powerful martial immortal is like an immortal to them. Thank you, Sky Fantasy Old Man. Old man. Daoist Tianhu quickly said and bowed. I've received your payment, so I'll naturally do it beautifully. I want to see how powerful that 7 stars Emperor of the Day is. That old man puffed out his chest and said indifferently. His words were full of confidence, making Daoist Tianhu and the other sect leaders very happy. On the other hand, Lin Ling shook his head. The old man probably possessed 20% of universal force, so he was confident that he wasn't inferior to the 7-star Emperor in daylight. However, if the 7-star Emperor in daylight possessed greater natural talent or possessed a higher cultivation, then the Sky Fantasy Elder might not be a match for him. Of course, Lin Ling did not express his opinion and waited quietly. Without a doubt, those experts were treated as distinguished guests by the various sections. The various sect leaders were extremely polite to them. They even caught spirit beasts from far away and roasted them personally for them to eat. After some wine and meat, those experts finally stood up. Seeing this, the various sect leaders were happy, knowing that these experts are going to move out. Is he going to? It's not that my words are unpleasant, but it's really useless for him to follow. He can't even block one attack from others. Sky Fantasy Old Man looked at Lin Ling and said. Daoist Tianhu shook his head helplessly. Lin Ling was invited by him. Although he can't help much, at least he can help. Lin Ling also said, I've accepted Daoist Tianhu's mysterious light grass. It's reasonable for me to do what he entrusted me. As for the 7 stars Emperor of the Day, I think it's just that. Old man. After saying that, he took the lead and moved forward. Those experts were all stunned. Even Daoist Tianhu and the other sect leaders were stunned. This Lin Ling is too arrogant. Nonsense. Old man Tian Huan was stunned for a moment before he became angry. Senior Sky Phantasm. Don't mind it. Tianhu's spiritual master hurriedly tried to smooth things over, but he smiled bitterly in his heart. Hearing his words, the illusionary Sky Elder coldly snorted. After all, he was an invited guest, so even if he was angry, he had no right to drive Lin Ling away. Soon, everyone was on their way. Let your sect's disciples go together. Although they won't be of much help, at least they can help. The illusion old man suddenly said. This is too dangerous. With a martial immortal expert attacking, if they are careless, many of them will be killed. Spiritual Master Tianhu and the other sect leaders did not agree with this proposal. Have you all forgotten who is here this time? With me here, they will be safe and sound. The Sky Fantasy Old Man said. Sect leader, let's go together. Hearing the Sky Fantasy Old Man's confident words, all the sect's disciples shouted and finally, Spiritual Master Tianhu and the other sect leaders nodded. On the ancient red stone land, a long line of people was moving forward majestically. Lin Ling was also in the line. His face under the cloak revealed a smile as he slowly appreciated the unique scenery of the 9 dragons and 18 ravines. Senior Lin Ling, have you fought with a martial immortal expert before? On the way, spiritual master Tianhu's disciples were very respectful to Lin Ling. Although Lin Ling was not as strong as the sky fantasy old man, since he was invited by the sect leaders, his strength must be above them. Of course I have fought with them. Lin Ling nodded. Wow, powerful. Martial immortal. That is a martial immortal. Senior Lin Ling, where did you come from? Have you defeated a martial immortal expert before? Hearing this, the disciples' interest was greatly raised. That depends on the level of martial immortal. If it is early stage, 90% of them are not my opponents. Lin Ling explained with a smile. It can't be. Senior is a true immortal expert. This time, the disciples were even more surprised. They knew that there were many geniuses in the land of the 9 prefectures. Some geniuses were extremely powerful when it came to challenging people of a higher realm. Therefore, they knew that Lin Ling was a genius. However, Lin Ling's ability to challenge people of a higher realm was too high. They found it hard to believe. In fact, since they were able to come to the Crimson Province, they were naturally geniuses. However, they also knew that compared to a mysterious genius like Lin Ling, they could not compare to him. Deceiving people with lies. As if he heard Lin Ling's words, the sky fantasy old man disdainfully snorted and his face became very serious. Hearing this, the disciples did not dare to speak. Lin Ling smiled and did not refute the sky fantasy old man. This sky fantasy old man is very strict. He is strong. Of course he has the qualifications. Yes, but I still think that Senior Lin Ling is easier to talk to. After the sky fantasy old man left, the disciples dared to talk among themselves. After traveling for an entire day, they finally arrived at their destination. In front of them was a tranquil ancient lake. It was as vast as the sea and as clear as a mirror. In the middle of the ancient lake, a natural dragon head formed by rocks appeared. The dragon opened its mouth wide, revealing a black expanse, as if it was connected to another world. Strands of mysterious aura also spread out from it. Dragon Scale Artifact. Seeing this, the group stopped and looked at the dragon head in the ancient lake in surprise. They had heard of the legend that there were dragon scale artifacts in the 18 grooves of the 9 dragons, and there were more than one. It was said that they were formed from dragon tendons, and there were countless treasures inside. The 18 grooves of the 9 dragons. I heard that it was the incarnation of several ancient dragons. The dragon scale artifacts should be some of the dragon's key parts, such as the dragon's claws and eyes. Lin Ling said secretly. Sky fantasy old man, this is the dragon scale artifact we found, but the Twin Dragons Union did not follow the rules and took it for themselves. Taoist Tianhu and the other sect masters also said. Don't worry, we are here today. The sky fantasy old man and the other experts said indifferently at this moment. With the giants of Mount Tai and Northern Dipper, this matter will definitely be resolved. Hearing this, Taoist Tianhu and the others felt relieved. The sky fantasy old man squinted his eyes and said, Your sects have old conflicts. This time I will also resolve it for you. After I defeat the 7 Stars Emperor, your sects will move out and surround them. Don't let them escape. I will personally destroy their sects. However, there is water in this place. There is an ancient saying that water is good at flowing. It will be difficult to catch them all in one net. The sky fantasy old man's words undoubtedly made Taoist Tianhu and the others happy because their goal was to defeat the opponent's experts, who knew that the sky fantasy old man was confident that he could destroy the opponent's sect. I will go and invite them. Soon, Taoist Tianhu led his disciples and floated towards the ancient lake. Old man Dian, we are here. Chapter 2871. Defeat. Swish. 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 After the sound, the surroundings of the ancient lake began to wriggle. Soon after, many figures shot out. There were many of them. It could be seen that they had been guarding this place the entire time. Taoist Tianhu? An old man wearing a bagua robe was also angrily staring at Taoist Tianhu. There were also several sect leaders beside him. All of them looked ready to fight. This was obviously the sect of the Twin Dragons Society. Don't be impatient. The Dragon Scale secret treasure is about to open. These useless people can't do anything. At that moment, A middle-aged man wearing a 7-star emperor robe walked out step by step. As he walked, invisible ripples spread out, making him seem like the universe, like the chaos, like a god that was born when the world was created. This was the 7-star emperor in daytime. This was an ancient person from the Crimson Province. He had traveled in the 9 provinces and was a powerful member of the heavenly court. Seeing that, the faces of Taoist Tianhu and the others became serious. They were all martial immortals, but the latter gave them a lot of pressure, as if the sky was above their heads. You're called Taoist Tianhu, right? I'll give you a chance. Take your disciples and get lost immediately. The 7-star emperor in daytime said indifferently. His tone was calm, but it was like the might of the heavens, causing Taoist Tianhu to be secretly shocked. However, when they thought of the experts they had invited, they became more confident. 7-star emperor in daytime, our sect has no enmity with you. Why must you oppose us? Sowing discord is useless against me. You don't need to do so. Today, I'll definitely help the Twin Dragons Society. The middle-aged man replied. It seems that you've walked the same path to the end. Don't think that you can dominate everything with 20% of the power of the universe. Let me tell you, we found this dragon scale secret treasure first. So, we will definitely not leave. Taoist Tianhu also knew that a great battle was unavoidable. So, he did not hold back. Haha, it seems that you know my strength. But so what if you know? The power of the universe is more difficult than the power of the primal chaos. You won't be able to touch 20% of the power of the universe in your entire life. Now, are you all planning to die? That middle-aged man laughed insolently, making the ancient lake's waves soar into the sky, rumbling loudly. Humph. Don't think that you're the only one with 20% of the power of the universe. Reverend Tianhu snorted coldly. After he finished speaking, he turned around and saluted. Seniors, please. True monarch Lightleaf. Go test him out. Next to the ancient lake, the Sky Illusion Elder also spoke. However, his expression was a bit serious because he found out that the 7-star emperor in white was a bit stronger than expected. Beside him, a middle-aged man immediately disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above the ancient lake. This was the speed of 10 realms. The crowd was in an uproar. This speed was too fast. Second level of the martial immortal realm? Are you here to die? The 7-star emperor looked at the newcomer with disdain, shook his head and said, I'm not interested in listening to you introduce yourself. If you want to take back the dragon scale artifact, then let's start. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged man on the other side flew into a rage. He was a well-known figure in the Crimson Province, but the other party didn't take him seriously at all. Xianyun Xiao. He knew that ordinary methods were useless against the 7-star emperor in daytime, so he directly unleashed his ultimate technique. An enormous amount of boundary essence energy, in addition to a middle-grade 6 boundary essence martial art, was unleashed in a mighty manner. A long Xiao pierced through the heavens and earth. That terrifying power could kill any first-level martial immortal. Moreover, any technique of the true immortal realm was destroyed by the Xiao. Rizhao Star. However, the 7-star emperor in daytime flicked his finger, and a white meteor shot out. It rolled and collided with the long Xiao. Puff! In an instant, the middle-aged man spat out blood. His opponent's boundary essence was too enormous. As soon as he spat out blood, the hot meteor shot over. At first, it was only the size of a firefly, but when it reached him, it became the size of a small mountain. Sky Illusion Elder, save me! The middle-aged man let out an anxious cry. However, it was too late. That meteor directly catalyzed him, turning him into nothingness. A martial immortal realm expert died so easily. It made people feel that it was unreal. After all, such a person in the 10,000 realms, or even in the Azure province, was a person of virtue and prestige. You killed him. The Sky Illusion Elder immediately roared. Trash like him, what's the use of not dying? Now it's your turn, Sky Illusion Elder. The 7-star emperor in daytime said indifferently. He obviously knew the Sky Illusion Elder, but he did not put him in his eyes at all. Sky Illusion Elder, it's up to you. Yes. Taoist Tianhu and the others became nervous. The middle-aged man was slightly stronger than them, but he could not block a single attack. So if the Sky Illusion Elder was defeated, all of them would die. Haha, Taoist Tianhu, Just wait for your sect to be destroyed. Yes. In the distance, the people of the Twin Dragon Society were shouting proudly. Today, they could also destroy Taoist Tianhu's sect. At that moment, the Sky Illusion Elder finally floated out. However, his expression was extremely serious because he did not expect that the middle-aged man could not block a single attack. After all, if it was him, he would not be defeated in less than 20 attacks. I'll try my best. Yes. Taoist Tianhu and the others felt that something was wrong because the Sky Illusion Elder's words did not seem to be very confident. I'm the Sky Illusion Elder. Yes. After coming out, the Sky Illusion Elder spoke first. You don't need to introduce yourself. I'm not interested in trash like you. However, the 7-star Emperor in daytime stretched out his finger and said while shaking it, "You're going too far." Haha. The Sky Illusion Elder has been practicing martial arts for 50,000 years. He is a person of virtue and prestige. When has he ever been looked down upon like this? He instantly became furious. Boom, 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 boom. The two experts crazily collided. With speed exceeding 10 realms, they engulfed the ancient lake. The water of the ancient lake continuously evaporated and gradually disappeared. Finally, a huge dragon head appeared in the lake. If one looked carefully, it turned out that there was a dragon body in the place that was submerged by the water. Of course, no one cared about the dragon body now. Their gazes were fixed on the fierce battle in the sky. Those two experts both possessed 20% of universal power. Moreover, their cultivation was the same. No one knew who would win in the end. They're both early martial immortals, but their strength is much stronger than ours. Taoist Tianhu and the other sect heads' faces were very pale. The attack power of 20% of universal power was simply beyond their imagination. Boom. After an unknown amount of time, an explosion suddenly sounded. Then, a figure flew out from the ancient lake. Looking at the sky above the ancient lake, the white robe fluttered in the wind. That person retreated more than 10 steps. However, he was still floating above the ancient lake. It's over. Everyone was greatly alarmed. They looked at the person beside the ancient lake and discovered that it was the Sky Illusion Elder. Obviously, the Sky Illusion Elder was defeated. How could this be? Taoist Tianhu and the others' faces instantly turned ashen. Like me, you possess 20% of universal power. However, your talent is a grade 8 divine body. The Sky Illusion Elder stared at the sky. After saying those words, he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 2872. Flames appear. Heaven and earth change. You think you're my opponent? That 7-star Emperor's face was somewhat pale. Obviously, it was a narrow victory. After all, Sky Illusion Old Man was not a pushover. My talent can increase my realm essence by a huge amount. This is the reason why you lost. Now, what else do you have to say? 7-star Emperor walked over step by step. His aura was domineering and majestic as if he was looking down on the world. Sky Illusion Old Man, please. Seeing this, Taoist Tianhu and the others shouted anxiously. However, in their eyes, the old man smiled bitterly, spat out blood again, and sat down cross-legged. This made Taoist Tianhu and the others' faces dim because they knew that Sky Illusion Old Man had lost the power to fight. Senior 7-star Emperor, can you use treasures to exchange for our lives? Raising their heads again, several sect masters looked at 7-star Emperor and asked, You think I'm lacking treasures? 7-star Emperor said contemptuously. With life and death approaching, Taoist Tianhu and the others would definitely not give up the chance to live. He said again, Then I wonder what Senior needs? Whatever the Twin Dragons Guild can give, we can give. Haha, now you know fear? Let me tell you, one of the ancestors of the Twin Dragons Guild had once saved me, and this is what you can give? 7-star Emperor laughed mockingly. His words let Taoist Tianhu and the others know that they could not escape death today. On the other side, the sect masters and disciples of the Twin Dragons Guild all shouted, Destroy them, I want to devour their sect. Sigh. We underestimated the strength of 7-star Emperor. Seeing that the other party was planning to kill them all, Taoist Tianhu and the others sighed. On the path of martial arts, every step was difficult. One careless mistake and they would turn into ashes. They naturally knew this truth. However, when the truth fell on their heads, they knew how cruel the world was. As for their sect's disciples, they sat down powerlessly. Some of the timid ones even cried. Moreover, some were so angry that their eyes turned red. They cursed Sky Illusion Old Man because this expert was too confident and caused them to die. However, just as death was about to arrive, suddenly, an indifferent voice floated out. Now, is it my turn to make a move? The ancient lake suddenly quieted down. Who are you? The seven-star monarch also looked at the ancient lake, looking for the person who spoke. Then he saw a cloaked person slowly walk out, which made him frown. But then he saw the cloaked man take off his cloak, revealing a clean face. He was very young. Most importantly, that kid was just true God realm. Who are you? However, the seven-star emperor in the daytime frowned. Because he believed that the kid had seen the battle just now, but he still dared to come out after seeing it. This meant that there was definitely something hidden. Unless that kid was an idiot. Over at the Twin Dragon Society side, everyone was also taken aback, and then roared with laughter. Even the Sky Fantasy Old Man, a martial immortal, was defeated. What could that true god stage brat do? He would be killed with a single finger. Tianhu Zhenren, can I make my move now? I've taken the reward, so I have to put up a front. So all you need to do is say the word, and I'll kill him. The person who had come was Lin Ling. He spoke with a calm expression. Boom. When these words came out, the ancient lake seemed to have exploded. Kill him. A true god stage killing a martial immortal stage 3? This kid must have not woken up yet. This. Tianhu Zhenren and the other sect leaders were all smiling bitterly. Of course, they did not think that Lin Ling could reverse the situation. But now that Lin Ling had asked them, they had no choice but to answer. Go, go. Tianhu Zhenren waved his hand and said. His tone was filled with helplessness. Sky Fantasy Old Man also opened his eyes. His old face was filled with a bitter smile. Little friend, don't underestimate him. At this moment, he no longer looked down on people with the seriousness from before. He did not think that Lin Ling could win, but he felt that Lin Ling's courage was too admirable. Kid, do you really want to die? 7-star the arch felt like he was being toyed with. However, Lin Ling did not even look at him. Now that Tianhu Zhenren had agreed, he could also make his move. He smiled and said indifferently, You're called 7-star Emperor Tyrant. Who is your master? If your master was here, I would be afraid of him. But you? You're still too weak. What? 7-star Emperor did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. Just as he was about to speak, Lin Ling spoke again. 3rd level of the martial immortal realm, 20% of the power of the universe. Not bad. With such great power, you can defeat 70% of the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. However, there is always someone better than you. If you play with great power, others may not be weaker than you. What? 7-star Emperor finally roared. This kid was using the tone of a senior to evaluate him? This guy. Sky Fantasy Old Man gave up on healing and looked at Lin Ling with a dumbfounded expression. Did this Lin Ling not see the previous battle? Why was he still spouting such arrogant words even now? Tianhu Zhenren. He's the person you invited? Beside Tianhu Zhenren, the other sect leaders were also shocked. They felt that Lin Ling did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Of course, after 7-star Emperor flew into a rage, his killing intent rose. You are the person I want to kill the most. You will be the first to die. Unfortunately, you can't kill me. Sigh. Lin Ling replied indifferently. Flames finally appeared on the surface of his body. Moreover, the sky began to oppress. No one knew what martial arts he used, but the temperature in the surrounding area was extremely high. Most importantly, Lin Ling seemed to be in the true god realm, but his boundary essence was rising steadily, giving people a great pressure. Because, his 3 dantians began to merge, and the evil flame change was activated to the final transformation. Sensing Lin Ling's change, the 7-star Emperor in White Sun let out a fierce shout. Boundless realm essence surged from his body, transforming into numerous meteors that shot towards Lin Ling. 20% of the power of the universe suddenly arrived. Seeing this, Sky Fantasy Old Man and the other experts all stopped breathing. However, in their eyes, Lin Ling still stood quietly without moving, as if he did not know how powerful 7-star Emperor's 20% of the power of the universe was. Be careful. Screech. Tianhu Zhenren shouted in horror, but at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Rumble. The clouds in the sky were burned away, and coffins seemed to be summoned from the void of the universe, causing the sky to become colorful. The destructive aura was extremely terrifying. Look! Screech! Everyone raised their heads, and their expressions changed greatly. Sky Fantasy Old Man and the other experts looked at Lin Ling and found that the flames on his body were surging, as if he was summoning the flame coffins in the sky. Heaven and earth change. Screech! Finally, Lin Ling spoke indifferently. His long hair danced wildly, and his cloak flapped loudly. Flames appeared, and heaven and earth changed. Rumble! Chapter 2873. A Strange Scabbard. That seven-star emperor in daytime shouted in alarm. He discovered that the power of those flame coffins had long since surpassed the third level of the martial immortal realm. He could not understand how a true god of the younger generation could unleash so much world essence. Then, without saying a word, he was directly killed by a flame coffin. The ancient lake was also blown into ruins. The entire earth continued to shake. Looking at the twin dragons' union, who knows how many people were killed or injured? Meteors falling from the sky. Nothing more than this. Is he still a human? Looking at the scene of a great calamity descending, the Sky Fantasy Old Man, Tianhu Taoist and the others were so scared that their lips turned white. They did not expect that a true Immortal Realm Junior would have such a large amount of world energy. Moreover, those flame coffins had 10% of the power of the universe. Shouldn't the power of the universe be comprehended by martial immortals? This guy's talent is all grade 5. His talent is not weak, but the density of his world energy is the most terrifying thing. After the shock, the Sky Fantasy Old Man could not close his mouth. Then he thought of how he put on airs in front of Lin Ling and immediately slapped himself a few times. Such a terrifying guy was not a little brat at all. He was simply a martial arts legend. Tianhu Taoist, you've brought back a good helper. Yes, that's right. However, his flame coffins did not distinguish between friend and foe. Many of our sect's disciples were injured and were blown away. Yes, no matter what, he saved us today. I was wondering why a true Immortal Realm Junior was not afraid of us. It turns out that this guy simply treated the sect leader as a fart. Yes, the other sect leaders also said one after another. Their words were indeed true. In the direction where Lin Ling came from, when the sect leaders saw Lin Ling, it was as if they saw a demon. Then, they hurriedly rushed towards Lin Ling. Words of flattery came out one after another, treating Lin Ling as an honored guest. Even the Sky Fantasy Old Man dragged his heavy injuries and walked forward with a smile. Lin Ling calmly listened to those words, a look of indifference on his face. In truth, he already knew that he would win. But just like before, after using the evil flame transformation's heaven and earth transformation, all the world essence in his body was exhausted. Let's not talk about those empty words. We can enter the dragon scale mystery realm now. Lin Ling looked at the dragon mouth rock in the middle of the ancient lake and strode towards it. As for the remaining members of the Twin Dragons Association, they will be left for Taoist Tianhu to deal with. Looking at the calm Lin Ling, all the seniors revealed reverence in their eyes. There were countless geniuses in the 9 prefectures of the heavens and earth. Although they would never reach such heights in their lifetime, they still yearned for it. In front of the dragon's mouth, Lin Ling stood indifferently. Previously, he had seen the flame coffin fall, but the dragon's mouth was unscathed. It was indeed very mysterious. I wonder where this dragon mouth leads to. Lin Ling quietly said. The 9 dragons and 18 ravines were like ancient dragons, so this entrance should lead to the other side. After a careful inspection, Lin Ling stepped into the cave. Behind him, Taoist Tianhu and the other experts also followed in. The cave was a little hot and long. The surrounding rocks were obviously brighter red, so red that water could drip out. Could it be that this is a cave formed by a young dragon? The Sky Fantasia elder muttered to himself. What nonsense are you talking about? This is a place where dragon chi condenses. However, Lin Ling indifferently replied, Your Excellency is right. The Sky Fantasia elder laughed. Being reprimanded by Lin Ling, he did not feel ashamed at all. Previously, he had already guessed that this guy called Lin Ling had most likely cultivated some kind of powerful martial technique that allowed him to raise his boundary essence. Or perhaps, he was a 4th layer martial immortal, and had merely concealed his cultivation with the help of a treasure. However, to possess such strength at such a young age, his background was definitely not to be underestimated. He was not someone he could afford to offend. The cave was very long. After walking for a full 2 hours, a vast cave finally appeared in front of them. There were many ancient objects on the ground, which looked extremely extraordinary. "We're here." Everyone was overjoyed. According to the legends, there must be great treasures in the dragon scale secret realm. The legends were true. Haha, that's the ink feather teardrop jade. I've been looking for it for 800 years. The Sky Fantasia elder laughed. Wait. However, Daoist Tianhu immediately interrupted him and looked at Lin Ling with a smile. Senior Lin Ling, you go first. According to the agreement, Lin Ling could choose one of the treasures in the dragon scale secret realm. Now he had the right to choose first. I'm too forgetful. Senior Lin Ling, you go first. The Sky Fantasia elder reacted and patted his head. He quickly smiled and asked Lin Ling to choose first. Lin Ling did not hesitate. He activated his 10,000 elephant demon eyes and searched around. However, his gaze soon fell on an old scabbard. His 10,000 elephant demon eyes could not see through that scabbard. Kunlun. Even the little Kunlun on his left arm let out a sound. The green bud at the front of the vines also pointed at the scabbard. Haha, little Kunlun also knows about treasures. Lin Ling could not help but smile. Since that was the case, he would choose that scabbard. He came to a corner of the cave. There was a bronze man there and the scabbard was beside the bronze man. It looked inconspicuous, causing Daoist Tianhu and the others to be stunned. With so many treasures, Lin Ling only chose a broken scabbard? Even if he chose the bronze man, it would be better than the broken scabbard. However, they only thought about it. They did not dare to interrupt Lin Ling's choice. Lin Ling held the scabbard with one hand. His eyes were filled with curiosity because he did not know what treasure the scabbard was. However, he could tell that the scabbard was definitely not ordinary. However, no matter how he looked at it, he could not see anything special about the scabbard. When he poured his realm essence into the scabbard, a change finally occurred. A cloud of smoke spread out and then condensed in front of Lin Ling, turning into a headless black shadow. That cold aura actually made Lin Ling shudder. This black shadow seemed to be very scary. The black shadow gradually became clearer. It was actually a headless man, and he didn't seem to be very young. This time Lin Ling was stunned. The people in the distance were also stunned. What was that? My head, where is it? The headless old man even let out a voice as if he was a living person. Moreover, he was wearing a sword formed by smoke, giving people the feeling that he was a great swordsman. Senior, you are. Lin Ling frowned but still asked carefully. My sword, where is it? The headless old man ignored Lin Ling and let out an old voice. Moreover, a sword aura from ancient times quietly spread out. Rumble. The entire cave began to tremble. It could be imagined that this old man was definitely a powerful swordsman. Senior. Lin Ling could not help but tremble with fear. If this mysterious headless old man attacked them, he had a feeling that no one would be able to block a sword. However, the headless old man still ignored Lin Ling. He turned into a ghost-like smoke and floated towards Lin Ling's tyrannical song sword. A moment later, a broken scabbard appeared outside the tyrannical song sword. Damn! Chapter 2874. The Great War of the Ancients. Lin Ling then took the tyrannical song sword and tried to pull it out. However, even if he used 50 universe force, the sword could not be pulled out. Lin Ling could not throw away the tyrannical song sword. Therefore, he could only carry the strange scabbard with him. Senior Lin, what happened? The people in the cave saw that everything had returned to normal and they quickly asked. How would I know? Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He felt that he was being haunted by ghosts. You guys choose your treasures and continue forward. Lin Ling planned to check the scabbard slowly after returning to Qingzhou. Therefore, he left after saying that and continued forward. Not long after, the end of the cave appeared. It was another part of the dragon scale mystery realm. After walking out of the cave, there was a green-black tortoise ancient rock in front of him. A large number of experts had gathered in the sky and on the ground. An earth-shattering battle had also appeared before his eyes. The entire sky was filled with treasure light and ancient desolate aura. A huge dragon that seemed to be formed by countless runes was wandering in the sky. The dragon was so big that one could not see the end of it. It was comparable to a world. Moreover, it had two ferocious dragon heads. One spat out desolate wind and the other shot out lightning from its eyes. As it roared, countless people on the ground died. This dragon was also the largest and most ancient dragon that Lin Ling had seen in his 2 lives. If the Azure Dragon King was the ancestor of dragons, then this dragon was the dragon god. On the ground, countless ancient martial artists were wriggling like tides. All of them were martial immortal realm ancient martial artists. Every move they made was like a shocking wave. Even so, they still could not stop the attack of the dragon in the sky. Kill this dragon and take its soul. A bugle horn blew, bringing with it a mysterious melody that made one's blood boil. At the same time, an ancient flag was swaying in the sky. There was an ancient word cheap embroidered on it. They are from the Divine Dynasty. Just as Lin Ling was looking at them in shock, a serious voice came from the side. Spiritual Master Tianhu and the others had also come after hearing the news. Divine Dynasty? Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He knew that those should be the cultivators from the Crimson State Divine Dynasty. Compared to the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, the Crimson State Divine Dynasty was obviously more powerful. Senior Lin Ling, what do you think they're doing? The fantasy old man's words were filled with nervousness because the battle in the distance wasn't something he could participate in. Seizing the dragon's soul, the desolate dragon formed by the runes is most likely the most ancient dragon in the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. I didn't expect that after so many years, this dragon is still alive. Lin Ling said slowly. Kill. At this time, the group of experts attacked again. Compared to the dragons in the sky, they were clearly like ants, but they had the advantage in numbers. All kinds of powerful forces of the universe were blooming. Someone had unlocked the 3rd seal of the true god martial spirit. What was even more frightening was that in the distance, someone activated a true deity martial soul that was unexpectedly not smaller than the desolate dragons. That was a great condor whose entire body was resplendent with golden light. It spoke human language, challenging the desolate ancient. Desolate body. Seeing that, Lin Ling's expression changed slightly. Beside him, Immortal Tianhu and the others knelt down directly. Facing the desolate body, they only felt that they could not resist it. As for Lin Ling, he also felt immense pressure. Of course, it was much better than them. This was because Lin Ling also had 2 desolate bodies. They were the myriad demon eyes and the space-time divine steel. In fact, they were existences that surpassed the desolate body. However, his talent had not been unearthed, so Lin Ling could not be like the person in the distance, who could release a powerful aura. As for the experts, they were like 100 flowers blooming. After joining forces, the desolate dragon's aura began to weaken. Woo woo woo. But at this time, the sound of ghosts crying could be heard. In the distant sky, a large black cloud drifted over. Furthermore, white paper money was constantly sprinkling down, giving people a very strange feeling. When the black cloud approached, people saw that it was a large group of people carrying tombstones. They were like walking corpses. Where did this come from? Seeing this, the fantasy old man said with a trembling voice. The group of people gave him the feeling that they could take away his soul at any time. 9 prefectures 10 evils, the Tomb Guardian clan. Lin Ling said indifferently. This caused the fantasy old man's pupils to constrict. Of course, he had heard of this terrifying existence. He did not expect the legends to be true. And this group of people was clearly here to snatch the dragon's soul. This caused the 2 forces to be at loggerheads. However, the dragon god's soul was very rare. Therefore, another group of powerful ancient forces had arrived. After this group of people appeared, a wave of destructive aura exploded out. Among them, on a huge black fish, a man dressed like a scholar stood there. He hugged a beautiful woman, causing the experts on the ground to have solemn expressions. Creation Alliance. A cry of alarm sounded on the ground. Everyone knew that this group of people was also the 9 prefectures 10 vicious. In the 9 prefectures, the 9 prefectures 10 vicious were extremely famous. They were like vermin. Wherever they passed, people would be in a terrible situation. Amitba. However, this was not the end of the terrifying matter. In the sky on the other side, Buddhist chants could be heard. Ancient Buddhist temples floated over. Black and golden rays of light intertwined as if the son of darkness and light had arrived. Moreover, old monks wearing monk robes walked over from afar. They did not seem to be fast, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared on the other side of the lofty dragon. What is this? This time, the Tianhu Taoist also let out a cry of alarm. He could see that the people were very afraid of the approaching temples. Rumble! Moreover, these old monks had already made their move. It seemed like a gentle wave, but on the ground, millions of people died. Moreover, the most terrifying thing was that the dead people turned into skeletons and walked on the ground as if they were looking for the other side of the world. However, Lin Ling shook his head. For the time being, he did not know the origin of that temple-like existence. Let's go. The clash of these experts is not something we can watch. Yes. Seeing the arrival of groups of experts, the sky fantasy old man already had the intention of retreating. However, Lin Ling did not leave. His eyes stared at the temple. Inside the temple, the light of dawn gently scattered. In the soft light, he saw a familiar figure. Although he could not see the figure's appearance, he was very sure that this figure was someone he knew. I know, that is the 9 continents 10 ferocious immortal temple. And you are disappeared in this immortal temple. Suddenly, Lin Ling seemed to have thought of something. His face became excited. However, when he wanted to rush over, the ancient earth in front of him had already erupted into a terrifying battle. The surging power made it difficult for Lin Ling to get close. Under the attacks of the experts, the lofty dragon let out a mournful cry and finally turned into a huge amount of green smoke and disappeared. The dragon's soul was also obtained by a black-clothed man. After he obtained it, a huge earthworm rolled on the ground and spat out black soil mist. After swallowing the man, it immediately disappeared into the ground. People looked at the huge armored worm with flickering eyes, but in the end, they did not chase after it, because they knew that they could not catch up. Chapter 2875. Goodbye, Annuaire. Senior sister you are. Right at this moment, a loud and clear voice resounded. Everyone saw a huge rock in the distance, and there were a few people standing at the entrance of the rock. The person who shouted seemed to be a young man. And this young man was obviously Lin Ling. Senior Lin Ling. His shout caused Spiritual Master Tianhu's expression to change drastically. This was because he had attracted the attention of all the experts. This was indeed the case. Numerous ancient gazes were staring at them, and the terrifying aura made them not dare to move at all. I've seen it before. Those ants have been watching the battle and aren't afraid of our aura. How strange. Suddenly, a man who seemed to be dressed like a young master smiled. However, his smile was slightly evil. 2 great 5th-grade divine bodies. Although they seem to be in the real God realm, they give me a feeling that they are not simple. They don't seem to be weak. A one-eyed old man laughed and said. His gaze was also fixed on Lin Ling. What should we do? What should we do now? Sensing the gazes of these experts, the old man felt like he was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. He bitterly looked at Lin Ling. Little ancestor, we're finished. You are, I'm Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling didn't pay any attention to the 9 provinces experts. Instead, he was looking at the Immortal Temple. Meanwhile, Immortal Temple's experts were as cold as stone statues, looking at Lin Ling like they were looking at an ant. This was especially true for that beautiful figure in Immortal Temple. She didn't seem to have any reaction. This made Lin Ling frown. His intuition told him that it was definitely an Yuer. But why didn't she recognize him? Kid, do you know who that is? He's not your Yuer. You've got the wrong person. However, your talent isn't bad. I'll take you as my disciple. At this time, a hunchbacked old man finally said with a smile. He took a step forward and walked towards Lin Ling. Master of the Dragon Phoenix Fort. This kid belongs to me. I'm very curious about him. Another man in embroidered clothes spoke. Without waiting for the hunchbacked old man's reply, he took a step forward and walked towards Lin Ling. He had previously sensed it, but the youth remained indifferent despite the powerful forces of the universe and the desolate body. This made him very curious. I am Emperor Guangtai of the Crimson State. The man spoke as he walked, as if the Son of Heaven had descended. Guangtai Emperor? Isn't this the Scarlet Emperor's younger brother? Immortal Tianhu and the others' eyes trembled when they heard that. They did not expect to meet a legendary powerhouse. Scarlet Emperor. He was the #1 great emperor of the Crimson Province, and his younger brother was naturally a godlike figure as well. Scram. However, when that Prince Guangtai walked over, Lin Ling was not afraid. Instead, he shouted angrily. He was very annoyed because he had finally met Yuer, but Yuer didn't seem to recognize him. What the hell is going on? Get lost. In the distance, the 9 provinces experts were all shocked. This youth was truly bold. You want me to scram? You are the first person to say such words to me. Prince Guangtai instantly frowned. From his point of view, Lin Ling was just an ant. An ant dared to reprimand him? I don't know who your Yuer is, but she is someone from Immortal Temple. Forget about you. Even I don't dare to rashly provoke her. Don't even think about eating swan meat. Now, kneel down for me. Prince Guangtai's voice was filled with the might of the heavens. However, Lin Ling ignored Prince Guangtai. Instead, he shot towards the sky. I'm Lin Ling. He constantly shouted. However, the Immortal Temple's experts remained motionless. They even wanted to kill the ant. However, a stern voice sounded in their ears, leaving them slightly surprised. Following that, they hurriedly nodded. The Immortal Temple members ignored Lin Ling and shot into the distance. Immortal Temple. The 9 provinces' 10 banes. They actually didn't kill anyone despite being shouted by an ant. How strange. Everyone narrowed their eyes when they saw this scene. They were in extreme disbelief. Seeing the Immortal Temple flying away, Lin Ling erupted with a speed that exceeded 10 realms and chased after it. Once this speed appeared, the experts of the 9 provinces were all moved. A speed that exceeded 10 realms was nothing in their eyes. However, the one who displayed this speed was at the true immortal realm. This was a little terrifying. This kid is not simple. The old monsters from all sides muttered to themselves. They were even more curious about Lin Ling. It was as if Lin Ling was a little white mouse. They all wanted to know the secret of this little white mouse. Lin Ling did not know that he had become a thorn in the eyes of all the experts. He was still chasing after the Immortal Temple. Unfortunately, although the Immortal Temple seemed slow, it disappeared in an instant. This caused Lin Ling to be stunned in the sky. He clenched his fists tightly and his expression was extremely ugly. He had finally met Yuer, but his strength was too weak. In the end, he still could not make Yuer stay. This made him feel extremely uncomfortable. When he thought of the senior sister in the distant Gu Yen sect, who was the first to help him and now disappeared without a trace, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Kid, you can't catch up to him. Give up. At this moment, an old voice sounded. It was the Lord of the Dragon Phoenix Fort. He was also an expert who lived as long as the heavens and the earth. He was not under the jurisdiction of the 9 provinces. In the 9 provinces, no one dared to disrespect him. Thank you, but I won't give up. Lin Ling raised his head and looked at the old man. Then he said word by word. Although the senior's strength was monstrous, he was very polite to Lin Ling. Therefore, Lin Ling had a good impression of him. Hearing this, the old man sighed softly. He somewhat admired Lin Ling's persistence. Unfortunately, the Immortal Temple was not something that Lin Ling could provoke. Even he did not dare to provoke it easily. Alright, stop doing useless things. You're simply an ant that can't see itself clearly. Of course, there was also someone who was very unhappy with Lin Ling. It was an old woman in a Taoist robe. In her opinion, Lin Ling was overestimating himself. It's none of your business. Hearing those tricky and harsh words, Lin Ling's face turned cold. He was looking for Yuer. What did it have to do with these people? These people were gloating and reprimanding him in the tone of a senior. This made his originally bad mood even worse. Are you talking to me? I kindly reminded you, but you reprimanded me? The old woman was stunned. She frowned and said, I'll give you a chance. Cripple your own cultivation and I'll spare your life. This is my greatest gift to you. Cripple my own cultivation? Lin Ling's lips curled into a mocking smile. If he crippled his cultivation, wouldn't he be dead? I'll give you 3 breaths of time. The old woman's voice was very serious. There's no need for you to count. If you want to cripple me, then do it. However, Lin Ling laughed. It was a maniacal laugh. Today, he watched Xueqi leave with his own eyes. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. When he saw these seniors bullying him, his anger immediately boiled. Don't think that you're very powerful. If you give me another 1,000 years, I'll cut you down with my sword. Chapter 2876. 9 Lanternfish Lu Chen. This brat is really arrogant. Seeing that Lin Ling did not kneel down and beg for mercy, the eyes of the 9 provinces experts flickered. Of course, the old woman was furious. A true God Realm Junior dared to be so arrogant? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? She laughed out of anger. Haha. To her surprise, Lin Ling laughed even louder than her. Then let me ask you, if I kneel down and beg for mercy, will you spare me? If you kneel down and beg for mercy, I'll only cripple your cultivation. The old woman said coldly. Since that's the case, why should I kneel down and beg for mercy? Or are you born an idiot? You don't know what's the difference between a warrior without cultivation and death. This is something that everyone knows, and you actually dare to say it out loud. You even said it so matter-of-factly. Let me tell you, since I'm going to die anyway, why should I kneel? Why should I lower my voice to you? Lin Ling's laughter grew louder and louder, making everyone secretly nod. Lin Ling was right. Crippling one's cultivation was equivalent to death, so why should he kneel down and beg for mercy? Wasn't that unnecessary? Of course that was the reason. However, if it was someone else, they would definitely kneel down and beg for mercy. Shut up. The old woman did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. A cold aura spread out from her body. She was actually at the peak of the martial immortal realm. Between her eyebrows, she could destroy 10,000 worlds. If I, Emperor want to kill you, even the gods can't save you. The old woman attacked. Enormous amounts of world essence rolled out. Don't think that you're amazing just because you're at the peak of the martial immortal realm. In the past, I've killed more than 10,000 old monsters like you. Seeing that the old woman attacked, Lin Ling did not hide his strength and erupted with all his strength. He would rather die than fight. At that moment, he even wanted to fight to the death. A new air left in front of him. It was as if a huge rock was pressing down on his heart. Dang! Boundless world essence energy formed a large area of treasure light that enveloped Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, he risked his life to block the attack. However, with his strength, how could he possibly block the attack of a peak martial immortal? Just as he was about to unleash the space-time divine steel, the tyrant song sword behind him suddenly moved. It actually shot toward the old woman on its own. The sword pierced through an enormous amount of world essence energy, and appeared in front of the old woman. This sudden change caused the old woman to frown slightly. This sword seemed a little strange. However, she quickly sneered and reached out with her hand in an attempt to break the sword. Just a useless sword. Watch me destroy it. However, as soon as she came into contact with Tyrant's song, a wisp of a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the scabbard. It was ghastly gloomy, and carried the aura of destruction. My head, where is it? A headless old man floated out of the scabbard and stood in the sky as if he had lost his soul. This caused the experts of the 9 states to tremble in fear. That sword gave them a very cold feeling, as if it was a demonic sword. The old woman's eyes narrowed. She wanted to say something, but the headless old man had already placed his right hand on the sword at his waist. In the next instant, sword light flickered. It was sparkling and resplendent. It looked like a very ordinary sword strike. However, it caused the old woman to be stunned. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Ka. Almost at the same time, the old woman's body cracked open like a rock and turned into pieces of flesh. She was killed by a single sword strike. The earth immediately became deathly silent. Killing a peak martial immortal with a single sword strike. In the next instant, the experts of the 9 states sucked in a breath of cold air. After the old woman died, the world essence energy that she had activated earlier completely disappeared, revealing Lin Ling's figure. This caused everyone to look at him in fear. At the beginning, they had thought that Lin Ling was an ant that they could kill however they wanted. However now, they realized that this mysterious young man was not simple at all. Especially that sword. It gave them a very strong feeling of sharpness. It made them feel that this mysterious young man was on the same level as them. No wonder he's so arrogant. He does have some ability. Whose successor is he? Could he be the disciple of the sword comprehension old man? I don't think so. The sword comprehension old man controls the sword of the 9 states righteous path. However, that sword is somewhat evil, like a demonic sword. Everyone started whispering. Even with their knowledge, they could not see through that sword. Not bad. It's mine. However, at that moment, an ambitious voice sounded from afar. It was Prince Xueqi, the younger brother of the Crimson Province Emperor. Although he was also very afraid of that sword, he was stronger than the old woman. He should be able to seize the sword. Prince Xueqi has been paying attention to that young man for a long time. Now, he has the upper hand by making the first move. It's a pity that I can't fight against that sword. Otherwise, I would have made a move too. That young man is hiding too many secrets. He's like a treasure. The experts from all sides were somewhat envious. Even the tomb keepers who had been silent in the distance looked at Lin Ling curiously. It was as if they wanted to see through everything about Lin Ling. However, just as Prince Xueqi made his move, a tyrannical fist broke through the sky of this world and came rolling over. Get lost. Rumble. That fist broke through the universe and blasted thousands of worlds. It formed a huge storm and shattered the earth of the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. That fist was terrifying. At the same time, a ferocious giant black fish appeared in the sky and punched out together with that fist. Bang bang bang. Heavenly Prince Xueqi's expression changed. He clapped his hands and an ancient bronze bell appeared. However, when the fist hit the ancient bell, it actually cracked. Heavenly Prince Xueqi quickly retreated and dodged the fist. 9 Lantern Fish Lu Chen. Are you courting death? Prince Xueqi shouted angrily after he escaped into the distance. Haha, Prince Xueqi, how about giving me some face? He's my man. In the sky, a man dressed like a scholar appeared quietly with a wine pot in his hand and said with a smile. He seemed to be asking Prince Xueqi to give him some face. However, in reality, he did not seem to be giving Prince Xueqi any face. Dream on. Prince Xueqi was the younger brother of the Scarlet Emperor. How could he embarrass the Scarlet Emperor? After all, this was the Scarlet Province. Haha, then there's nothing to talk about? I'm a reasonable person. If someone gives me some face, I'll give them 5. If someone provokes me, I'll give them 10. Let your brother, the Scarlet Emperor, fight me. The man dressed like a scholar smiled, but his tone was domineering. Your brother, the Scarlet Emperor, has ancient powers. In fact, I'm no match for him. However, it's not difficult for the Creation Alliance to destroy the Scarlet Province. Prince Xueqi knew that the man was crazy. If he angered him, he would really destroy the Scarlet Province. All right, I'll seek justice for today's matter in the future. Since this was a serious matter, Prince Xueqi did not dare to be too arrogant. After saying that, he wanted to leave. Did I say you could leave? However, the man still smiled and said, apologize to my brother and I'll spare your life. Don't go too far. Prince Xueqi was furious. Yes, I'm bullying you. Chapter 2877. The Returning Lin Ling. At this moment, the cultivators of the 9 states were shocked. They never thought that the 9 Lanterns Fish Lu Chen would challenge the Crimson State for the sake of that young man. If you want to play, then let's play big. At the same time, a destructive aura burst out, and the Kings of Destruction of the Creation Alliance roared. Looking at the imposing aura of the Creation Alliance, Heavenly Prince Xueqi's expression kept changing. He knew that the Creation Alliance was an alliance of lunatics. If he did not apologize, this group of lunatics would really destroy the Crimson Province. Even if everyone in the Creation Alliance died, they would not stop. Little brother, I'm sorry if I offended you before. Finally, Emperor Xueqi cupped his hands and said to Lin Ling. Lin Ling sneered when he saw this. In this world, strength represented everything. If he was weak today, then he would have been toyed to death like a cockroach by these experts. Most importantly, he had no enmity with these powerhouses, but they wanted him, Lin Ling, to obey their orders and kneel like a slave. Get lost. Therefore, in the face of Emperor Xueqi's apology, Lin Ling did not give him any face. You! Emperor Guangtai was a giant of the Crimson Province. When had he ever received such treatment? He was so angry that his face turned green. Scram! Unfortunately, Lin Ling didn't care at all. Instead, he looked at the crowd and said, "You old monsters think you're so powerful, but you've forgotten that you were also very insignificant in the past. Facing cultivators stronger than you were just as insignificant. So that's all you've got. That's all you have." His last sentence drifted out like a gust of wind, intimidating everyone. What an arrogant young man. The eyes of the experts flickered, but they didn't say anything. Although they felt uncomfortable, Lin Ling couldn't be underestimated. Firstly, Lu Chen was present. Secondly, Lin Ling's mysterious sword. These two reasons made them not dare to make a move. "Brother Lin Ling, why have you come to Crimson Province?" Lu Chen, the Nine Lanterns fish, looked at Lin Ling and smiled. He was not surprised by Lin Ling's arrogant personality. He already knew that Lin Ling had the same temperament as him. "If you gave me 30% of face, I would give you 50%. If you provoked me 30%, I would fight you 50%. I came here in pursuit of an enemy. Who would have thought that so many things would happen along the way?" Lin Ling also looked at the latter. He had seen Lu Chen the Nine Lantern fish earlier, so he was not surprised. "You're just lawless. You dare to leave Qing Province with a true God Realm cultivation base. SK, you have extraordinary courage. Now you should go back." "Okay, thank you for before." The two of them continued to chat while Lu Chen personally sent Lin Ling off. Qingzhou. Hearing their conversation, Emperor Guangtai's eyes turned cold. He finally knew Lin Ling's background. He would remember today's humiliation. In the future, he would pay a visit. Lin Ling and Lu Chen walked side by side. When they arrived at the entrance of the cave, the illusionary Sky Elder and the others immediately knelt down and saluted Lu Chen. However, Lu Chen obviously did not have time to pay attention to them. Lin Ling said goodbye to Lu Chen, then entered the cave and went back the way he came. Lu Chen also knew that the 9 states experts were afraid of him, so he did not leave for the time being. He still guarded the cave entrance, giving Lin Ling time to leave. In the cave, Tianhu's spiritual master and the others treated Lin Ling as if he was their ancestor. Previously, they had guessed that Lin Ling's background was not small, and now, they were even more certain. In front of the 9 states ancient experts, he was fearless and arrogant. Would an ordinary person dare to do so? However, Lin Ling did not know what they were thinking. At this moment, he was still thinking about an Yuer. Fortunately, he saw that an Yuer's status in the Immortal Temple was not low, so he did not have to worry about an Yuer's safety for the time being. As long as he stepped into the martial immortal realm, he could leave the Azure province and find an Yuer. This scabbard is really strange. Thinking about how it killed a peak martial immortal realm expert with one strike, Lin Ling was also very shocked. However, no matter how he summoned the scabbard did not respond, so he was helpless. After a long time, everyone walked out of the cave, and Lin Ling directly said goodbye. Looking at Lin Ling leaving, Tianhu's spiritual master and the others were silent for a long time. I believe that soon, 9 states will hear Lin Ling's name. The illusionary Sky Elder sighed. At this moment, Lin Ling was anxious to return. He wore a large cloak, tied the realgar with vines, and rushed forward. At this moment, a huge crack appeared in the sky. Clearly, the time for the 100 sect gathering had arrived. Lin Ling did not stop and shot into the crack. Of course, when he left, he also took a look at the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. He never thought that so many things would happen on the way while chasing after the realgar. However, what made him happy was that his strength had greatly increased. Sacred land of the rainforest. I, Lin Ling, am back. After entering the crack, the next thing he appeared was the Crimson Province's Jiansong Mountain, and Lin Ling shot into the sky. At this moment, the rainforest's sacred land was deathly silent. There was no longer its former glory, as if a corner was abandoned by heaven and earth. However, in the former rainforest's sacred land, Xianpeng Province, there were still a large number of people gathered here. Not a single person can be seen. This Lin Ling is really powerful. Where did he hide his people? Lord said that there is no one in the Azure province. Even Lin Ling is missing. I think he's not missing. He might be dead. After searching for a while, those people's faces turned ugly. Obviously, Lin Ling had been missing for a period of time, so the authorities of the Azure province did not know where he went. In the end, they guessed that Lin Ling might be dead. Therefore, those who had a grudge against Lin Ling all wanted to capture Lin Ling's family and friends alive to vent the hatred in their hearts. Unfortunately, after arriving in the Azure province, they did not find a single person. "Destroy this place!" a young man shouted coldly. "Destroy this realm?" The people at the side were stunned, and then they all sneered. Lin Ling should be dead. In that case, the rainforest's sacred land had no right to stay. The monstrous genius of the Azure province, Lin Ling, has disappeared with the wind. His hometown has also disappeared in the chaos of the universe. Everyone attacked one after another, and a huge amount of realm essence roared in the sky. However, before they could attack, a strange sound suddenly came from the ground in the distance, as if a rock was rolling along the ground. This time, everyone frowned. They looked over and saw a cloaked figure walking over from the distance. He was holding a rock and walking over slowly, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. "Who are you? This is a forbidden area. Ordinary people are not allowed to come close." The leading young man frowned, then said indifferently, "I'm from the Sunbone. I hope you can give me some face." "Sunbone?" A sneer came from the distance. Suddenly, a flame bloomed, and a wisp of flame shot over like a firefly. "Do you have a death wish?" Seeing this, the experts around the young man shouted coldly. They said that they wanted the other party to give them face. However, not only did the other party not give them face, he even took the initiative to attack. Chapter 2878. The Sunbone couldn't even protect itself. A firefly dares to compete with the moon? Lord, let me do it. An old man sneered as he walked out. His hands waved and flames immediately rose from the ground. Flames from the 10,000 worlds were also summoned. Elder Gu is still the best. Many people started roaring with laughter when they saw this scene, and they even looked at that strand of firefly fire with disdain. Two types of flames, one big and one small. There was no need to guess. They could guess the result. Unfortunately, although the firefly's flame was small, it wasn't something they could block. Boom! The firefly's flame shot over and collided with the old man's 10,000 worlds flame. In the next moment, the old man's 10,000 worlds flame was completely burned. This was flames burning flames. Not good. This person's realm essence and talent are both very strong. The old man's expression changed drastically. He wanted to say something, but the flames had already burned his body, causing him to cry out in pain. He kept rolling on the ground and finally, his voice became softer and softer. He was completely turned into ashes. "Playing with fire with me?" In the distance, the cloaked man's right hand once again produced multicolored flames that poured down. "Ah! Who are you?" When the flames appeared, it was like opening the door between the underworld and the 10,000 worlds. It burned a large number of people to death. Even the young man's right arm was burned off. If he didn't react quickly and pull his right arm out, he would have been burned to death. "Who are you?" After anxiously dodging the terrifying flames, the young man immediately roared in anger. "I should be the one asking you who you are." The cloaked man's voice was very cold. It was a sharp contrast to the burning flames. He is Lin Ling." However, the cloaked man didn't say anything. Instead, it was Realgar, who was tied up by vines behind him, who spoke in panic. "Lin Ling, you are Lin Ling? Aren't you dead?" Hearing that, the remaining people's expressions changed drastically. One had to know that for the past few years, the experts of Qing province had been searching for Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling's whereabouts were unknown. Even those close to Lin Ling didn't know where Lin Ling had gone. This made the authorities of the Qing state speculate that Lin Ling might be dead. After all, the true powerhouses of the Great Green Divine Dynasty would not stand by and do nothing when the country was being destroyed. Especially with the arrival of this year, they were even more certain of everything. This was because not long ago, someone had also come to the rainforest sacred land and unscrupulously ravaged this land. However, Lin Ling still did not appear, and this explained everything. "You want me to die so badly?" At this moment, the cloaked man also took off his cloak, revealing his cold face. His gaze swept across the crowd, causing everyone to tremble like cicadas in winter. In reality, Lin Ling had guessed long ago that when he was not around, his enemies would cause trouble. That was why he sent his grandfather and the others to the Flame World Fragment. You, don't be too arrogant. The leading youth's face was very pale. He knew that he was no match for Lin Ling. However, he also knew that if he came to the rainforest's sacred land and was seen by Lin Ling, the outcome would definitely not be good. Therefore, he went all out. Bang! The ground was stomped by him and instantly cracked open. Rolling realm essence appeared on his palm and powerful martial arts were released, blasting towards Lin Ling. He was at the peak of the true immortal realm. With his full strength, and with Lin Ling's carelessness, he might be able to kill Lin Ling. Boom! However, Lin Ling did not move at all. He had received the palm strike just like that. He did not even move a single step. Instead, his icy cold eyes were staring at the young man. Impossible. Although you are stronger than me, you can't receive my full strength attack. The youth raised his head and looked at Lin Ling. His face filled with fear. Pah! Lin Ling reached out his right hand and grabbed the youth's palm. 50 universe power was released and the youth's palm turned into dust. Ah! The youth was in pain, but he could not break free from Lin Ling's palm. He shouted angrily, "I am senior brother Sunbone's subordinate. You dare to touch me? Do you want to die?" Sunbone can't even protect himself. Hearing this, Lin Ling coldly spat out a sentence. This time, he wanted to kill Sunbone and Luo Shawthorn the most. Enough, let him go. However, at this moment, a cold shout rang out in the sky. Then, an old man in a green robe appeared. Master. Looking at the old man, everyone was overjoyed. This was because this was a powerful elder of the 3 academies and also Sunbone's master. Who are you? Lin Ling raised his head and asked coldly. You are not qualified to know. The old man in the green robe said indifferently. Now let him go. I represent my disciple, Sunbone, to settle any grudges you have. Of course, life and death are up to fate. If you die, the people behind you are not allowed to trouble me. He obviously knew that Lin Ling's appeal was terrifying, so he made this point in advance. You want to fight me? Lin Ling asked indifferently. Let my disciple go first. The old man frowned. If you want to fight, then fight fairly. What kind of ability are you to kidnap my disciple? Hearing this, Lin Ling laughed. I kidnapped him? He was the one who behaved atrociously in my territory, and was caught red-handed by me. Do you think I should treat someone like this to tea? Moreover, do you think I will let him go just because you say so? Shut up. I will fight you later. If you attack him at a critical moment, won't that disturb my mind? Lin Ling, don't be so despicable. The old man walked down from the sky, allowing Lin Ling to understand his intentions. It turned out that the old man was afraid of Lin Ling's schemes. Haha. Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. He tossed the young man over to the old man, and the old man said to the young man and the others, You all stay away. Don't let him catch you. I will fight him. After saying this, the old man in the green robe walked out and looked seriously at Lin Ling. He knew that Lin Ling was very strong. It was said that he had once killed a first-level martial immortal expert. Therefore, he didn't dare to underestimate Lin Ling. It was because of this that he asked Lin Ling to let the young man go. Because they were evenly matched in strength, the slightest carelessness could lead to defeat. For example, if Lin Ling took a hostage, he would be distracted. Since you let my disciple go, I should tell you my name. I am Sunbone's master when he was cultivating in the academy. My name is Xueqi. I know you are very strong, but I can tell you that the disciple I am most proud of, Sunbone, is stronger than me. So if you want to fight him, you must pass through me. The old man called Xueqi said indifferently. Terrifying realm essence surged out of his body. Because you are young, I will let you attack first. As the last sentence was spoken, the old man's aura reached its peak. He possessed 10% of the power of the universe. Even in the Green Province, he was an overlord. Seeing the old man's powerful aura, the young men watching from afar all shouted loudly. In their opinion, Lin Ling would definitely lose. Unfortunately, they didn't know that this little bit of strength was nothing to Lin Ling. You want me to attack first? Do you think you are qualified? You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.